Are you prepared? The masses are running, frantically running from their fears, running with their tears, running from their lives, running from that dark shadowed creature that hides deep inside.
Hello. We are here at our regularly scheduled podcast today. We're actually planning to cancel today's podcast because I was at the Pennsylvania show yesterday, the Lehigh Valley Con. But that was cut short because I was supposed to have breakfast with my sister today, but that didn't happen. So it's like family. So yeah, sometimes I find myself trying to please everybody, so it's hard, but that's fine. So Wendy, if you're out there, have a safe flight. You know, we'll have breakfast next time together. But anyway, as I was saying, this show was not intended to go on this week, but regardless, here we are. And a few things I wanted to share about last night's show was that comic book shows are really changing. They really are not the same. Lehigh Valley Con was kind of cool because it had that old school like flea market type feeling of a comic book show, which I thought was refreshing. I mean, they still have celebrities and cosplayers and collectors. It was kind of a collector's show, right? People buying like used toys, old comics, back issues, things like that, old animation cells. I thought it was pretty neat. But for the indie scene, it's really shifted, and you have to really learn how to be how to think on your feet, and trying to think of new ways of putting things together. So I want to share some of those things with you. I don't know if I should, but a lot of people are critical of AI and the production of AI. But I think as artists, it's our responsibility to move with the times and to stay ahead of the ball because, we're dealing with these corporate entities and competing with them. And Justine Bateman once said on The Coming of AI that it is corporate massive theft of artist work. And yes, I would say to a degree, if you're not an artist and you're not a creative person and you're putting in prompts with nothing before that, like as a reference point, you will fall into that. We've seen multiple cases of that. But as an artist, myself, who uses his own properties of as AI, that's a little different, right? So I'm using something that I already own, something I already possess, my own creative talents, right? Not writing in like, oh, create this thing that looks like blah blah blah, right? I think it's a tool really designed for writers to eliminate artists, and we're seeing that in commercials on YouTube, advertisements, steadily growing. They're getting rid of actors, but that's a whole different industry too. If you think about it, it's kind of an assault on the arts altogether. But I think as artists, we know that this thing's not going to go away. There's a lot more non-artists and artists that are going to be utilizing these tools, that are utilizing these tools. I think in order to maintain competitiveness in the field, we have to adapt, right, or die, right. And I think there's always room for traditional arts. I'm not going to stop drawing. Personally, I'm not going to stop being an artist. I'm not going to stop creating stuff. But AI, I believe, is a tool. And it was interesting because I was talking to Paris Cullens yesterday, and we were discussing just this. And he was working as an animator for a corporation, and he's designing AI animation shorts, which I think is pretty cool, right? And again, it's just not the final product. It's, I guess, what we would call a sizzle reel back in the day, right? Like in YouTube, we used to like take the editing softwares when they came out and put in clips of different films to come up with a concept, right? Like a proofing concept type of film from different movies to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to create. You present that to the director, and then they take it in. I think there's always a place for artists in these industries. So, yeah, it's challenging, new, but a man like Paris, who's a legend in his own right, also finds himself, hey, I need to be more resourceful. I have to, be on point. How do you not become irrelevant, right? It's super, super important not to fall by the wayside, especially as we get older. We're not young men anymore, we're not in our 20s. So even more so, I think it's important for the older generations to do that. So, and I hadn't seen Paris since we worked on Black Power, the greatest hero, Black Power, in 2010 or 12. I forget. Maybe it was 12. I don't remember, but it was a while ago. So it was refreshing to see him. It's a picture of us here. It was his girlfriend. She's doing some sales. So we're, not even in there. Let's see. Hold on a second. I'm never talking about technology. Like, this is not working, right? It's like, I'm like trying to show you a photo. It didn't kick through. Like, technology, right? It's like frustrating. Let's try that again. There we go. That's Paris and I after not seeing each other physically for over 12 years. It's 2026. Yeah, about 12 years. It's crazy. But, yeah. And, yeah. It was good to see him. We've grown. But as a commercial artist, I find it very difficult, especially in the comic book, because the audience is younger to some degree, and you're still dealing with old heads that are like not really supportive of indies. I think the younger generation, it depends. It's a big mix, but sometimes they're more in support of it. Sometimes it depends on the individual, right? There's no generalization of who's my market audience, who's my target audience. Of course, it's most likely people closer to my age, my generation, but that's not necessarily true. We had a lot of young people interested in my products as well. So I always find that it's really hard to put your finger on it, right?
The found
So that's what I think is so unique about this time in our history as artists. It is a challenge. So, but back to AI. Here's what Bernie Sanders had to say about it. Take a look.
The foundation of AI is based on our collective human intelligence. Our books, songs, artwork, journalism, computer code, scientific research, videos, conversations, images, and ideas spanning generations. The reality is that big tech oligarchs have fed this knowledge into their AI models without permission, without acknowledgement, and without compensation. The creative work of many millions of people, writers, artists, musicians, journalists, teachers, scientists, and ordinary people, has been stolen by the wealthiest people in the world. In the coming weeks, I will be introducing the American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. This legislation would give the public a direct ownership stake in the largest AI companies in our country through a one-time 50% tax, not on the profits of the largest AI companies in the US, but something that is far more valuable than that, the stock. Under this bill, the federal government would have the power through its voting shares and an equal representation on each company's board to block decisions that hurt the public and to push for policies that help them. When a public resource generates wealth, the public should share in that wealth. In this case, artificial intelligence is being built on a public resource far more valuable than oil: the accumulated knowledge, creativity, and labor of humanity throughout history.
And there you have it. Yes. We don't consider those things when we're creating, right? That they literally just open the doors to these programs, and people without art and skill can create stuff from resources of pre-existing material. But that's one view. AI is sentient, which a lot of people disagree because of the misinformation out there. But if you listen to the developers, AI has the ability to create as well as replicate, right? And of course, it is sourcing materials from pre-existing things. No different than our brains as artists. When we create, sometimes we're inspired by another artist, like a movie, a film, a photograph. So our brains as humans are doing exactly the same thing. It just doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a collective unconscious and also our environment, the things around us. So we have to have a real honest talk about that and about how AI is closer to us than we want to admit. Before we move forward,
The American.
I also wanted to recognize that we lost a giant. You know, she wasn't big in America, but a giant nonetheless. We had Marjane Satrapi. I can't say her name right. Sorry. She was the author of, let's see if I get bigger, of Persepolis, right? And other books as well, but that was her big one. She was only 56 years old, 4 years older than me. She has passed away. And that's sad. They don't say of what or how, but it is sad, right? So CBR talks about it. I'll read from this article real quick. Let's highlight a little bit. In a statement sent to France's AFP Newswire from close friends and family announcing her death, Marjane Satrapi died of sadness a little over a year after the death of Matthias Ripa, her husband, and the love of her life. Ripa died in April of last year, so she died of a broken heart. Yes, that is a real thing. Satrapi was born in Rashat, a small town in Iran, before moving with her family to Tehran. When she was less than a month old, she grew up in a relatively well-off family and studied at a French language school. Her parents were politically active and leftist. And so when the Iranian Revolution occurred in 1979, her family was particularly persecuted. A beloved uncle was killed by the government after being sent to Vienna for her high school years. Satrapi returned to Iran and receiving a master's degree. She returned to Europe, though, and settled in France. In 2000, she released the first book in her graphic memoir in her life in Iran and in Europe titled Persepolis. The series was done in 4 books in France and 2 books in the United States. And that's really sad. That book really inspired me, you know. It was a really cool book. And yeah, it was really something else. You know, it was mind-blowing to say the least, you know. It was very mind-blowing, you know. I didn't know much about Iran growing up. And in 2000, I don't know how old I was, but I was old. I saw the movie first, like many people, and was influenced by that movie. And, you know, like many others, right? And then I went back and read the book, and I was like, oh, and it was actually, the book was like the film, right? So that was an eye-opener to me, right? So it was very heavily influenced. In fact, I just bought the book the other day. Since we've been talking on this show, I've cited her book at least 3 times. At least three times I've mentioned her book. And again, that's Persepolis. It's a great book. It's a good introduction into world politics if you're a comic book reader and you're not familiar with what's happening in the world, or you know. I think it's a really good introduction to that. And yeah, may she rest in peace. And heartbreaking. Dying of a broken heart is a real thing. You know, I've seen it. When I was a kid, one of my tenants, he and his wife were together for over 50 years, and she passed away suddenly, and Jesse. And when she passed away, I just saw a steady decline in him. You know, let me just write this message real quick. So, I mean, yeah, it's real. I've seen it happen. I mean, even with the actress who played Princess Leia, her mom passed away days after she learned that her daughter died, right? Having a rare morning. I can't remember anybody's name. But just focusing on AI a little bit more. I myself, like I said, guilty. Um, I've been using AI as a writer, before comics, well, maybe about the same time. I was always interested in writing music. I was a writer for a long time. And I had given some of my stuff to bands, you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. you know. And after a while, I was just like, hey, sometimes they used them, sometimes they didn't, And and I was so broke and poor, I didn't have money to go to the concerts or the shows, and they didn't even offer either. So, yeah. So people were singing my songs, and I never got to see them performed. Um, and I'm not much of a singer. I'm not a trained singer, but I've been using AI singing into the AI, and then using my voice uh, to replicate music. So I've been doing that. So this is a thing called Suno. So Suno is actually pretty cool. Um, is it unethical? Who knows? But hey, we got a special impromptu guest. Here we go. Hey, what's up, Robert? How you doing?
I'm fine. Let me just refocus my camera here. There we go.
How you been?
I'm doing all right.
I just saw you make a comment on Facebook. I was like, hey, do you want to jump in? That's how we do it here.
Yeah, that's right. I was actually just doing. I'm doing the ebook for Paul Kupperberg, his new book, The Blank. It's a freestyle pulp noir, and it's I haven't actually read the book yet, but the cover is just awesome. It's just incredible.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I was talking a little bit about AI and AI music and things like that. And what's your take? What's your take as a writer on AI? Do you find it as a valuable tool, or do you think it's crap, or what?
I have not used AI at all. I will not. I probably won't use AI at all. I mean, I know I wrote a story regarding AI. It wasn't very flattering for AI, but no, I don't. I think that I want AI to cut my grass, to do the dishes, to and clean the house up. I don't want AI. I want AI to do the drudgery things so that I can spend my time writing.
Right.
And my real problem with AI is once these CEOs spend, they institute AI across the board in their companies and they fire all their employees. Who's going to buy their product and services? Because everybody's going to be out of work. Nobody's going to have any money. What are you going to do? We're gonna have the United Welfare States of America, and they're going to have to pay us all a living wage, and it's going to be more expensive. And meanwhile, the data centers are going to be fouling the air and the water and the environment. I'm not a big fan.
It's interesting. It's like we've been using AI for about 30 years without even realizing it. Our search engines, our cell phones, it's like.
Oh yeah, I get that. I certainly use
CGI has AI as a certain.
I use GPS. I rely on that. That's something that I'm okay with. Sure, I know that CGI isn't CGI just of a crude form of AI. We use CGI to make movies.
Yeah.
And I just heard or I read someplace that Marvel signed a deal to use a CGI of Stan in movies going forward, and I'm torn there because I'm really a huge Stan Lee fan, and I want to see him show up in movies and cameos, but I know that I don't know so much as I strongly suspect that his daughter, who is apparently, you know, her claim to fame is my daddy is famous, and I'm going to make money off of him. So she signed a deal so that she could get money, you know, to in perpetuity for the fact that her dad is now is being used forever. And I don't trust the people who are going to use him, you know, the way I remember Stan, you know? Yeah. So, you know, I like that. You know, I don't think, you know, the what was it? Wall-E, was that there was a Disney movie, Wall-E. Everybody was in space and on some floating ship. They were all fat and lazy, and there was some robot down on Earth cleaning up all the garbage that was left behind because they forgot how to do everything.
Right.
You know? I'm not a big fan, but
Yeah,
you know,
James Earl Jones also had sold his voice as AI. He was the first actor to actually do that because he was, you know, terminally ill, and he was. There was a whole article on that. I think it was that was on in 2024, Forbes magazine. So another first by a black man.
That's why if AI could be used to enhance people's lives, that's great. Right now, AI is not being used to enhance people's lives.
That's correct.
As detriment. The you know, I had a conversation online. Somebody in one of the writing groups that I'm on in Facebook, guy came on and he said he had he wrote a book and he commissioned the cover from an artist and he got it. He didn't really like it, so he figured he'd enhance it with AI. Right. And he wanted to know if that was okay. And he didn't ask permission from the artist. He just did it because, you know, I bought the thing. It's mine. I'm going to just enhance it. And my take on it was, many years ago, I wrote an article for a publication, and the editor of the publication wasn't a big fan of of that specific article, and he literally rewrote the article and added like a third more into it and changed my ending and altered my entire output of what I was doing. And I didn't find out about it for almost a year because I didn't see the publication. When I did, I was completely enraged over this. I wrote an article specifically to say a specific thing, and this guy changed it. So I wrote into one of the industry magazines repudiating the article and found somebody else to publish it the way it was originally intended. And I said, you know what? If somebody did that to you, you'd be really pissed. At the very least, get the guy to do the change. You know, you shouldn't use AI to change somebody else's work.
Right. That's true. That's true. Because that's again, that constitutes as theft or alteration without consent, right?
Yeah.
And I think we live in a very interesting time where consent is considered important because nobody gave a shit before. They're like,
should always be consent.
I think I give credit to the younger generation for making that an issue. Like, hey, I didn't give you consent. You know, and I think our generation was just like, we didn't give them consent and then kick a rock or can and just say, oh, that's part of the game, you know. But I'm glad that we have the younger generation giving us the courage to say, yeah, that's right.
You know what? It's funny. I saw, you know, what was it? The one thing I saw was a cartoon of, it was a comic strip, and consent, just because I told you could borrow my car today doesn't mean you can always come in and borrow my car. Doesn't mean you can come into my house and drink my beer. It doesn't. I gave you consent for this one moment, for this one specific act. And if you want to do it again, you have to ask me again.
Right.
So yeah, consent is important.
It is. It is. And I've been robbed so many times from.
Yes, you have. I know about most of them, or quite a bit of them.
It's just like, man, that's a. I mean, I was thinking I just saw the All In Dead Man the other day, and the art stunk so bad.
Oh, I saw it and I almost picked it up, but I'm so dedicated to Neil Adams' Dead Man that I really have never bought anything.
Wasn't it disappointing?
Oh, I didn't even look at it. I just, you know.
They had a nice cover, but the inside was just so disappointing. I was like, "What is this?"
I'm glad I didn't waste my time or my money on it. So
I mean, Neil Adams is so dynamic. Carmen Infantino even was, he was not as dynamic, but he was the creator. So I mean, he had a good take on it. And
I remember it was Adams was so aligned with the character that in some instances when the character appeared in some other books, they wouldn't even pencil and ink it. They would let Neil do it.
really,
He would do just a character.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the Spectre, Dead Man, the Demon, those are all characters like that I always had a deep connection to. Kirby's Demon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who did the Spectre. That was a Golden Age character. Who do you know offhand who was the
Gosh, no, I don't. I was as you know, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I'm a huge Creeper. I love the Creeper as well. But then again, that was also Ditko's first character after he left Marvel for DC.
Yeah, Creeper. It's funny. I always liked the Creeper. Oh wow, Jerry Siegel and Art Bailey created the Spectre.
Wow.
I did not know that. I just Googled it. AI.
I want,
AI.
yeah. When my kids were in school and they were, my son, he did he basically copied and pasted some information from some website onto his paper. And I gave him really good dad advice. I said, listen, if you're going to copy and paste something from the internet, you got to go through the document and change all the quote marks and apostrophes from dumb quotes to smart quotes. Because if it's dumb quotes and I'm reading something and I see a dumb quote is just the straight quotes, because you can't you have to tell the internet that you want to do a curved quote. So and if I see that, I go, this came off the internet, so
Yeah.
Eh.
My co-host has arrived, Robert.
So kicking me off. Okay, fine.
Oh no, you're staying here. You're staying. You're not going anywhere. What are you talking about?
Man, I gotta get.
To have you here.
Man, you're killing me.
Here we go. Miguel.
Yeah, he does.
Hey,
Robert.
Hey, man, how you been? I've been reading your stuff lately, and now it's a fun way to get back into knowing you. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a long time. I remember many shows chatting with you.
And, I'm gonna myself. You guys keep it going.
Where are you at these days? You're no longer in the States.
Yeah, no, I've been in France. Going on 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for 10 years. So, how are things? I just dropped in. I don't know what you guys were talking about or anything. We weren't even supposed to have a show.
All right. Listen. All right. Martha just woke up. I got to go put the coffee on. I'll be right back.
All right.
So now you have to talk by yourself because
I got everything to myself now. Where did Ray go?
I don't know. Where did he go?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, hi everyone. Yeah. Wasn't supposed to have a show today, but we did. So I hope everyone's doing good out there. I can't see your comments if there's any comments, but I'm sure we got a lot of really interesting things to talk about.
Tell everybody about the Odyssey. Go ahead.
Oh, the Odyssey. Which part?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? I love the fact that we are so disconnected from the entirety of the world here in the U.S. that we have no idea what the rest of the world looks like. We've been convinced that. I was just having a conversation with some friends. I belong to this ministry group. We meet on Saturday mornings, and we were talking about women. And I'm totally co-opting your show here, Ray. We were talking about women in the priesthood, and we were trying to figure out why women weren't ordained as priests in the Catholic Church. And one of the leader of the group, he sent an email. He sent an email with a video with a guy dressed up as a monk explaining why the church reasons why. It's not that women are second-class citizens. It's basic. And he went through this whole long explanation, about 10, 12 minutes of it. And it came down to women aren't priests because Jesus was a man, his apostles were men, and men decided that we're going to interpret scripture, so we've decided that women can't be priests. And I went, wait, no, that sounds like patriarchy to me. I doesn't. There's no real reason there. I mean, it's essentially tradition. Men were priests, and it's 2,000 years later, and men should still be priests. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the way it works, because there's so many other things that were taking place in the world, or in that part of the world at that time, that we no longer do. And by the way, isn't that the same part of the world that women aren't allowed to drive, and they have to dress from head to toe, and they're not taught to read, and they're not taught to not educated, because they're girls, and they have to go everywhere where a man walking with them. And really, this is the attitude that we still want to have in the world in 2026. I think we can bypass that now. I think we can do something different.
Well, I think also because you had ancient cults that were matriarchal in nature, and a lot of societies that were matriarchal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
A lot of Native Indian populations were matriarchal, and they were just against that.
And keep in mind, a lot of cultures, it's going to sound crazy, but I mean, Switzerland only gave the vote to women, or the women gained the right to vote, because it wasn't given to them.
No,
Switzerland.
Not.
And early, I think it was 71.
Really?
1971.
Wow.
Yeah, like we Westerners talk some shit, right? So we said, oh, this, that. But when you start looking back at the dates, you're like, oh, yeah, that's like, that's a few years before I was born, or a few years after I was born, or like we were talking about the civil rights movement, I think the big thing is too, the big controversy, thanks to Dan Brown, Mary Magdalene. So they say that she might have been a disciple of Jesus. And this is brings up, actually, it was the women who weren't chicken shit. The guys were hiding out when he dies. And it was women like, yeah, we're going to go to his tomb. What are you going to do that for? What if the soldiers capture you? And like, whatever, we're going to go to his tomb, right?
Whatever.
So who was at the cross? It was the women. It wasn't the dudes. The dudes are sitting there going, oh my God, they're going to capture me. Peter, right? Denies Jesus 3 times.
Yeah.
But it was
very true.
We assume it's the Marys.
Here in the U.S., women weren't allowed to have a credit card in their own name until 1974.
There you go.
They needed their permission. They're not allowed to own property without their husband's or father's permission.
Right.
It's crazy, right?
It goes back to Anne Hutchinson, right? And having property and being outspoken, and then mysteriously killed by Indians, right?
Well, here's a wild part, and I mentioned this before in previous ones. All of the feminism stuff started, really, like, it didn't start necessarily with them, but the inspiration from it comes from the Iroquois Nation.
Right.
Because European women are living either next to or with the Iroquois.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean you can divorce your husband? What do you mean you have a choice to vote for who you want to vote for?
Right.
I'm tired of this shit.
And then in 1967, Catherine Switzer was the first woman to run in the Boston Marathon. And when the other runners, the men, realized there was a woman running with him, they tried to knock her down and push her out of the race, and she wouldn't let him do it. Now, why is it that men are so our egos are so fragile that we get offended? We're terrified of women, of competing with women. We do the whole, you fight like a girl, you run like a girl.
Right.
I know some pretty badass girls, man.
Oh yeah.
Just failed to pass the torch and tell them, hey, respect me. Because of the society was so overbearing and hateful towards women, I think that they were silenced,
Well, they were property.
Yep, they're
the ones who give us kids, right?
And these are European values, by the way.
It's the European values, absolutely. As I live in Europe, right? And it's the European. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there were places like Portugal, Italy, and Spain up until not that long ago. A woman couldn't walk into a church without having a veil on her head.
Yeah.
This was just, So when I hear like, French people saying smack about Islam, I'm like, you know, I could see you having concern, but let's take a little look at ourselves a little bit and put it into perspective
You know,
and
there's
realize, yeah, we
I'm sorry.
that perspective needs to be there.
There's a
Because
great
sometimes
joke.
what we might do is
Go ahead.
we preach and evangelize, and we don't realize we still got a lot to fix on ourselves. So it could be like, yeah, I'm concerned about that, and I know there are people who have voices who are going to talk about that. I'm going to listen to those voices, but I'm going to let them do the talking because that's their corner of the world. And I gotta look at my corner of the world and go, yeah, I gotta fix my crap. I can't be judging you based on what I think is me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's not, because God knows we have a lot to work on. But I think that's part of colonization too, bringing our ideals and our values and expecting others to replicate that.
Right.
That's the other problem I find too. And it's cool to sort of have a universal where we can bridge with each other. But there might be other things that might, we actually might have to work on that we think we don't. And that's,
I remember that when I was a Jehovah's Witness, even if I was reading the Bible as a young brother, I was a teenager. A woman had to put a head covering, even if it was a napkin on her head, something. It was just like, and that goes back to Christianity, right? The head covering is not uniquely Muslim. It's patriarchal.
Well, the Roman Catholic nuns, their garb was, when I was growing up, it was very much like a burqa. They were covered head to toe. There's a very funny joke about women covering their head into church. Story, and I told this to my own parish priest, because we had, for a while, there was a strip club right across the street from my church. True story. A number of years, and they finally shut it down. They finally got it shut down, and I didn't tell him the joke until after the thing was shut down, because before then it wasn't funny, and now it's funny. Woman dancer at a club. She was, she always did her thing, and it was now Easter, and she hadn't. It was the last day for her to fulfill her Easter duty, and she hadn't done it yet. And so she finished her shift, and she didn't have time to change. She ran across the street to enter the church to get communion. And the priest stopped her at the door, and he said, I'm sorry, you can't come in here like that. And she said, Father, I have a divine right. And the priest said, your left isn't bad either, but you got to cover your head. and let me add in that I had known my pastor since I was 15 years old, and so it was like 40 years later. So I've known him for quite a long time, so I was able to tell him that joke and not get excommunicated.
Yeah, and you had mentioned Dead Man Neil Adams before.
Yeah,
this is one of my favorites here.
Oh my goodness,
that's a classic. So, you ever haven't read it, go out and read it. It's a nice collection. You can get it for nothing now. I think it was $75 when it first came out, but I'm sure it's less than that on Amazon. It's over 10
or more. I'm going to step away for just a second. I got to take care of the coffee, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk among yourselves.
Sure.
Yes. So yeah. I canceled the show, and I brought it back because I was supposed to meet my sister for breakfast. She had flown in last minute, but then it just turned out that I couldn't make it. And then I actually left a day early at the con because of it. So I was in Pennsylvania. I was debating whether I was going to do Sunday, and then I was just like, I'm not going to spend money on a hotel. I'm going to just come back home. So it was 2 hours in, 2 hours back, a lot of driving. But it's okay. No, there's no tears shed. I didn't make that much money at the show.
Right. It's wild because I'm turn on my TV. I always go to YouTube to have a movie on while I'm drawing.
Yeah. And
I see your image because I'm subscribed.
Yeah.
And it says live. Like, the hell's going on? So I was in the middle of a phone call, so I oh, so I guess it's not canceled. That's why I'm like, yeah, give me 20 minutes.
Yeah,
It's like, what?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to say I was a little down yesterday. I made $20 at the show. I haven't made $20 at a show in just that in a long time. You know,
What show is this, Ray?
this was the Lehigh Valley Con,
Oh, okay.
and everything was there that was right. It was an indie show. I mean, there were some voice actors and stuff like that, and they had cosplayers. You know, that component. I mean, I think that people who do these shows, everything else was basically like a giant flea market. It was great. I like the show. It was a great environment. A lot of people. It was pretty packed. But people literally just went there for the voice actors, and the way I guess they directed the audience towards those. I guess they got to pay their guarantees, so that's a problem. I think that they directed them towards these voice actors, and once people had their signatures or whatever, they bounced. Like literally, the show was packed to the T. At 10 o'clock on the dot, it was slammed.
Mm.
But by 2 o'clock, it was fucking bone dry.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
I'm kind of sick of going to shows like that, you know?
Yeah. No, I've had a few like that. Not here. There. Yes.
I've done a couple of shows. I've done a lot of shows like that. More of them local to me, not so far away. But this year, I've been doing really well in shows. I've done a bunch of shows. I just, you know, and I went down to Richmond, so I saw Gary, and you know, hung out with him for a bit, and that was a good show.
Oh,
I didn't make. Yeah, you know what? I made like $50, and so I mean, I spent more in gas to get there than I made. But I got
it's a 10-hour drive, right? Or more for you. It's more than a 10-hour drive for you, right?
Yeah, it's about 10. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but you know what? Listen, I got to hang out with Gary for a few days. I got to have dinner with my nephew and meet his new wife. I got so it was fun, and I'll go back because it was a good show. I mean, there were some other people there that I knew,
Right.
so I don't mind so much. Again, because I have family down there, and Gary's there, so I'll go back again, and do that. I did a show up in Cape Cod. I did really well up there, but again, there I had to pay for a hotel room, so again, I didn't,
Mm.
I think it's funny is like this guy Rich, he did the Animaniacs. He was telling me, you don't brand yourself good enough. It's like he's like, you should have on your booth saying that you're the guy who fought Marvel and DC and won. I was like, yeah. I was like, I was doing that during the case, and I was treated like the Scarlet Letter. People didn't want anything to do with me. They didn't want to buy anything. They were like, I'm gonna obey DC and Marvel. I'm staying away from you.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if you guys know Dan No. He posts a lot about he's an indie writer and artist, and he posts a lot of stuff where people come up and go, yeah, you know what, I don't read. What do you mean you don't read? What are you doing at a comic book? I only buy corporate stuff.
Right.
Why? The guys who are Marvel and DC, they started independents, and after a few years they're going to go into the independents. So what's your problem? And
Ignorance.
Yeah, well, and then they'll come and they'll talk to him and go, yeah, I'll come back later. And he goes, yeah, they never come back.
No.
Yeah.
Or they'll come back and say, yeah, I spent all my money. Thanks. I appreciate you telling me.
They spent their common sense wed before that.
Well, it's kind of, I think what's happened is like over a period of time, a lot of time, corporate equals good quality.
Right.
So, for example, everyone was like, and now they'll deny it, but there's a lot of little bastards out there that were like, yeah, George Lucas is selling Star Wars to Disney. Disney's going to know how to do it right.
Yeah, that's right.
The same weasels are now saying, oh, man, Disney destroyed Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
Lucas was doing it better.
And now
Yeah.
they love Anakin Skywalker, which they hated before.
And they love Jar Jar Binks too.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
It's just like,
Listen, I had a completely different take on Jar Jar because my son was like around 10 when that came out, and we went to see it, and he got into Jar Jar, and that was his connection to Star Wars. So for me,
Interesting.
hey, if my son's in if this makes my son love the thing that I love, I'm all for it. I didn't understand why people hated Jar Jar. I found him entertaining.
You know, it's funny. I skipped my college graduation to see that fucking movie. me and my ex-girlfriend, we were class of 1999.
Mhm.
We both skipped graduation at SVA to go get Star Wars tickets. We wanted to be the first ones there. And when the movie was over, we were just like, what the fuck was that?
Wow.
It was like, and I remember it was a rainy day. It was a storming, rainy day. It was really, and I was just like, what the fuck was that? Like, that was just bad, you know?
Yeah, you know.
But she loved Jar Jar because I think Jar Jar, kids and women love Jar Jar, you know?
Some people like the Ewoks.
Yeah.
That's true. They were cute and cuddly.
Cute and cuddly.
Yep.
Some people like the Jawas.
Yeah.
You know.
I scratch it up now as an older man that every Star Wars has a generation for every generation has their own Star Wars. So
Yeah.
and
I gotta deal with coffee again, so I'll be back.
All right.
not
It's
a
like
problem.
corporate versus indie, and I think this is why so many people worship Elon too.
Oh yeah,
Corporate, it's good. It's this. It's that. It's like,
yeah. And people,
no, it doesn't mean that. I mean, it's the difference between mass produced versus artisan.
right. And
What do
I
we-
always hate it when I see something that comes out mainstream, and then people are like, "Oh, you just got that from this." So this is like what? The
And
fuck?
that's such a stupid way of approaching. Like, for example, there was a video going around of this woman who has her PhD in archaeology and classics,
Mhm.
and she was saying the Greeks rehashed all these stories anyway all the freaking time. right.
The Bible's a reboot.
Yeah, it's just like, and the thing is that we're so obsessed with ultimately original.
Right.
And if you've taken any writing course, they'll tell you there's only like 7 themes you
Right.
can write about, right? Everything else is just a mishmash of all those different themes. There's only so many notes too,
Absolutely.
but you can make new songs, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get that. Oh, you got it from this.
I mean,
Or so-
Superman is essentially Jesus, right? Batman is fucking Lord of the Underworld, right?
Well, right now I'm reading the book, The Tomorrow Men.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The original
man.
one.
Those guys are such sleazeballs. I felt bad for the creators of Superman on that. But there was a book called Gladiator that inspired them,
Oh.
which was a book. It was a book about a guy who's given superpowers and he can't relate to everyone else, and he ends up being the circus sort of type strongman. And there was John Carter of Mars, Tarzan. All that's what went into, and the idea of being impervious because it was Jerry Siegel's dad that had been killed in a burglary. He had been killed in a burglary, and had left his family struggling. So
Craziness.
it's like when you're reading about it, you're starting to understand more where these come. But he also talks about all the sleazy mafia stuff. There was one part, I was on the train reading it. I'm trying not to burst out laughing. So like magazines, when you ship them back, you're supposed to cut off the cover.
Yes.
So they ship it back to the publishers. This guy was such a sleazeball that run this publisher. It's the beginnings of DC. It was before DC. He would put new covers on it and ship it back. So a lot of guys who bought the pulps thought, oh, this is new. And they pick it up, buy it, get home and realize they already had it. He just put a new cover on it. So
Right.
yeah, pretty wild. Great book, though. Great book. He hasn't touched on Kirby yet. It's a
Right.
great book.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much out there, and people choose to have tunnel vision, and I don't think
It's
a lot.
easy.
Yeah,
Think
yeah,
of everything that we have. It's easy. Our
yeah,
technology is expression of our culture, which is to make everything as easy as possible.
right.
So why do something hard, right?
Yeah,
Why pick
just
up a piece of
stuck on
paper?
stupid.
What's that?
I was like stuck on stupid,
Yeah,
You
pretty
know,
much.
or too stupid to know they're stupid, right? That's
Too
like,
stupid to know they're stupid. Yeah, no, it's kind of wild that way. But the whole corporate thing, yeah, no, I feel it too. I would
yeah,
just they just walk on by my freaking table.
yes, yeah. So
That
we,
the Dunning-Kruger syndrome. People are you're too stupid to know you are in fact stupid.
Well, and the whole culture though is that if you're going to do something more difficult, then that's not a smart way to go about it, right? This is sort of the logic. The simpler you can do something, the quicker you can get to do the result, the smarter you're considered. But a lot of things aren't like that, right? So
right,
I think the Dunning-Kruger effect that you're speaking of is even more accentuated in our culture because of that. It's like, why would you work so hard,
right,
right?
exactly.
Why would you work so hard?
We have to challenge ourselves, though, right?
Mhm.
You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
we have to. We have to challenge ourselves. And I get it. It's funny. I'll tell you, this is pretty hilarious. I was reading. I haven't read a mainstream comic in about 2 or 3 years, and I just started reading this whole All In series stuff, and I was like, man, this is kind of shit. But then, but then I was like, the Swamp Things. I just started printing those Swamp Things that we talked about last week, right? Those Rick Veitch Swamp Things, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back and start reading from issues 80 to whatever, because I didn't want to just read the 4 that they're releasing, where he meets Jesus and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I started reading these books from when I was a teenager, right? That's like 1980, 89, right? So I was like 17, right? Oh my
Mhm.
God, I got mentally exhausted reading this comic book. I couldn't even finish it. I was like, whoa, there is so much text in here. This is like so articulate. I feel like, and then the font is so small, and I'm like I was like, I almost got a migraine. I was like, no wonder I was so smart as a kid. I think we were smarter as a comic book reading society. Like people who are comic fans, we were much more intelligent than than what's being published now. It's so simplistic, so easy. Even when you look at anime, like manga, it's the bubbles are very simple. They're fast. You can read a digest in maybe less than an hour, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, right? Like this was like Swamp Thing was like deep philosophy. They're talking about, they talk about Nietzsche. They talk about all these different, they talk about like occultism, like Aleister Crowley, all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, no wonder my brain is so diverse. I was reading fucking DC Comics as a kid,
Yeah.
and then versus Marvel, which was just team ups and fighting, and
Yeah,
uh,
and with manga, it depends who you're talking about. But manga, they have a policy. Manga has, because you got to consider their language is visual.
right,
So, and they say you guys just waste too much time on it. But there's some stuff that Kazuo Koke, the
right,
creator of Lone Wolf and Cub,
yeah,
Lone Wolf and Cub, I read that before I became a father. It is Ogami Ito is still my favorite character because he's a dad
right,
and he's stuck with this kid. And there's some crazy shit that you read in that. He had one where, well, it was the Assassin's Path, where you could tell the time of day by looking at a cat's irises.
Right.
because this ninja was going to attack. So he had this cat, and he would look at its irises to see what time of the day it was, because he was hiding out in the dark and stuff. So, yeah, Japanese stuff though, they put a lot of research into it, a lot. You know,
One of the Free Comic Book Day comics that I picked up was a manga book, and I love Free Comic Book Day because I get to experience all kinds of different stuff that I don't normally read, and then I go through and I literally read every comic. I managed to get basically almost everything that came out that day, and this manga that I was reading, it was like a 12-page story, and the story must have taken place in about maybe 10 seconds. It was a soccer match. And,
yeah.
and it was this guy rushing for the goal. He was trying to get the shot. He was trying to get and it was amazing that it was so engrossing that it went through the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And every page, and there was like maybe 3 or 4 panels every page, but the action was so dynamic and it was so engrossing that I loved reading it. However, going the other way, I when I was a kid, I read Mars Patrol, Wally Wood, and it was, oh my God, I loved Mars Patrol. I thought it was such a great book. In my 20s, I managed to acquire the entire run of Mars Patrol, and I read it and I went, God, this is crap. It's like so simple. I couldn't, I was so disappointed in the thing that I really, really enjoyed. It just didn't hold it for me, a decade later.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when I was watching He-Man on Amazon, I was like, I actually spent time watching this crap. And then people watch this movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but people are complaining, oh, this is not as good as a cartoon. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? The thing was.
It was literally to sell us toys. And
Right.
toys that we were supposed to come up with our own stories anyway.
Right.
That's all it was. You come up with your own story. We were kind of at the cusp, because I know my late brother, he was born in the 60s. So the toys, a lot of the toys, from my understanding, was you kind of come up with your own crap. For us, it was like, okay, here's a template, good guy, bad guys, this is what they do. You guys come up with your own stories. Here's a cartoon if you want to know more about it. So we can sell you more crap.
Yeah. And originally there was Toyland for the Conan movie, and then when they saw how bloody Conan was, they're like, oh, we can't do this. They scrapped it and then changed it to He-Man, It's like
yeah, I mean, to say, oh, this to me, I always found it funny that people sort of attach themselves to. I mean, there's tons of things. There's Sectars. There was Chris Star, which now is a Marvel character.
I loved Chris.
There was Black Star.
Black Star, yeah, and Lone Star.
There was Brave Star.
Brave Star, yeah, a lot of stars.
Cool. A lot of stars, huh?
A lot of stars. There's a lot of stars out there.
Right.
And what was the other one? Well, you had She-Ra, Thundercats.
Thundercats, yeah, that was another one I watched recently.
Silverhawks.
And Silverhawks was my favorite. But great animation. Most of it was Japanese, and that was anime, and people didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was the end of the Rankin and Bass.
Right, exactly.
The people that gave us Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Look at that. Who knew?
Rankin and Bass. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's craziness. But I mean, yeah, I mean,
if you expect at 50 to be excited by something,
right when you were like 10.
At 10,
it shows you how much trouble we're in. Yeah. That people will fucking protest a movie or a film that this sucks, or it's like, but they don't do that about their own government. They're okay with the way the country is being run, but God forbid you fucking make a shitty He-Man movie or a Superman film.
It bothers me that they're trashing Supergirl before anything. They should, what? You see the movie before you trash it, okay?
Yeah.
They trashed the Marvels. They trashed Captain Marvel movie. They because, and you know what? Again, I'm going to go back to it's a female lead. They're going to it's the little
generation.
Yeah, little tiny men who are I love, I love those three movies. I mean, they're really
I watched Captain Marvel at least 10 times. I really love that film.
Yeah.
You know what? The thing is about the Captain Marvel movie the Marvels movie that I liked it when I saw it, but I didn't understand it. The whole singing planet thing.
Yeah, that was a little nonsense.
Well,
that was trying to validate her as a Disney princess. That was a marketing scheme.
Again, the Ms. Marvel character, she's Indian, and that's a Bollywood. There's it was a nod to her Bollywood roots, and I went, oh yeah, right. That's awesome. That was such a cool throwback. I once I realized what it was, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I get it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's a culture war.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's funny because I'm gonna pick on conservatives, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick on they complain about culture war, and they're the instigators of culture war.
And they're also
can't let it be.
They're afraid of losing their white privilege. That's what I really
I love it when the Super Bowl comes around and it's a rapper singing. It's a it's a woman singing, and and it's like, dude, better than half of the football players are black. A lot of the audience are black. You are not the target audience anymore. Sorry, guys. We're going to play to the people who are actually buying the tickets.
Right. Yeah. Even the France football team, right? A lot of people were like upset. France was upset when they said, "Well, this win is really for Africa."
The far right was. Yeah. And let me explain to you something. France, and I'm going to just use this very loosely because it's more than just a relationship. Let's just say they've known each other. France and Senegal have known each other for 357 years.
Yeah, the currency is francs.
Right? Like, this isn't just like you're immigrants. It's like family at this point. Right?
That's
during the wars, World War I, World War II. I know World War II was like over 52% of the French soldiers were North African and West African.
Mm-hmm.
So, the last time was 2018, but prior to that, 1999, when they won the first time, any French person to complain about, all of our team's not French. What does that even mean?
Right.
Dumas, his dad was half black. He was a general in the freaking French military.
Right.
He was called Monsieur de l'Humanité, Mr. Humanity. He was like considered the embodiment of the French Revolution. The character D'Artagnan is based on his dad. Porthos is also based on his dad, and the character from Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes, is based on his father.
Exactly.
So the history of blackness here in France goes back a long time, but there has been such a concerted effort to push this ideal version of France, and Hollywood's done a good job of this too, where everyone's white. It's like, what?
A lot of World War II movies that just show white soldiers when we know that there were segregated armies.
My favorite movie that deals with the World War II? Top Secret. Chocolate Mousse. Chocolate Mousse is more accurate in the entire, all that World War II stuff. I don't know if you remember Top Secret, Robert, but it was that Val Kilmer movie. It was a comedy.
I remember.
And he meets the resistance, and they're going through talking this is blah, blah, blah. And they all got nicknames. And they get to this big Mr. T looking French black dude, and he's like, Chocolate Mousse. I love that. I don't specifically
remember that, but yeah. You know what I really like? We watched Ted Lasso over here.
Oh, what a great show, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that I really enjoyed about the film, about the show, was the fact that they have this great soccer team, football. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, football.
And hardly anybody on the team is actually British. They're all it's a world group. They're from Nigeria. They're from they're all over the place, and nobody cares. Nobody cares because we don't care the color of your skin, the nationality, your national origin. We want to fucking win this game. And if that's the best guy to get the game, we're going to get him because he's going to help us win this game. I thought, what an amazing idea.
But we do the same. I mean,
we don't do that here in the States.
Well, I mean, we like our teams are made up. Our math team that competes against China are Chinese Americans.
Nice.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
They're not going, hey, you imported some Chinese people to beat us in math. It's like,
Right. And they get mad, like, hey, why can't we go to those schools? There's too many Asians here. It's like, well, maybe you should study.
they work
It's
their asses off,
They do.
But here in
And
Europe,
my son is half Chinese, and he doesn't study as much as full-on Chinese kids. But
that's
he
because
can
they'll get the stick,
he
man.
can still bring it. He'll still bring it. It's just
Right.
like, it amazes me.
I will tell you here, and this is the thing that's not spoken too much online, is that each respective country has immigration from their former colonies.
Yes, exactly.
If you're in England, Nigeria, India, you're talking the Caribbean, Jamaica, France, Senegal, Algeria.
Yep.
This isn't like something that just sort of just got sprung on them. Spain,
Right.
Venezuela, Colombia. So it's just like,
Exactly.
if you didn't want this, you shouldn't have colonized the planet.
Right.
Right.
And now that you said that, take a look at this video. We have a lot of people.
Where are they going?
Where's that?
Vessel, maritime tragedy, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, U.S. immigration. I guess they're coming to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's a lot of people on a boat.
Hey,
It's a lot.
you know what? Here in America, you're either an immigrant, the descendant of an immigrant, or a indigenous, or a slave, or a descendant of a slave.
Right.
That's it. And the only people who can claim in being indigenous are the people who are already here, and we don't treat them very well because you're not
funny.
white.
It's funny too how they don't Latinos indigenous. They're like, well, you're Hispanic, you're not indigenous. Only the native Indians are indigenous, but the Americans are Central America and South America. But they're Mexicans, they're not Indians, or they're Mexican Indians. It's like,
well, the best is I don't know if you've ever experienced this. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But when you talk to anyone who's a Spanish speaker, they're like, yeah, like Americans, you are American, but to us, Canadians are American, Mexicans are American,
right.
Brazilians are American.
Yes.
Yeah, Bad Bunny did that in at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was a great Super Bowl, by the way. I mean, the halftime show, I didn't understand a word, but oh my God, it was such a cool event.
And the guy had a bulletproof vest on because he had so many death threats.
Yeah, that's
sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. But yeah, no, I always crack up.
Americans.
Yeah, I just crack up when it's just there's this video that it was a clip. I think it was on RT years ago, but it's this Native American dude, right? You can probably find it on YouTube. I love this video. It's like 15 years ago.
Mhm.
So it's like this anti-immigration rally. I think it was in Arizona, and they're like, immigrants go home, blah blah blah, and like the quintessential Native American dude, like the guy that you would think, yes, he just stepped out of like my imagination. This is the guy who I would embody with what I think a Native American guy is: long hair, he's
Right.
features everything, and he's walking with a little backpack and pushing a stroller, and he stops and he goes, "You're all illegal. We should have kicked you out." I love that video. Forever and a day cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
And they just disperse.
Right. I find it so crazy. I find
Yeah.
it so crazy that the nonsense. It's like people are like, oh, they're separating families. This is terrible. This is not America. It's like, wait a minute, we've been separating families since the inception. We separated the Native Indians, we separated the blacks, from there, sold them as property. We still separate American citizens from when a kid commits a minor crime.
Yeah.
If you're white, you go to therapy, and if you're black, you go to juvie. I mean, it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's
Oh, I
it's
agree.
not new. I mean, it's not a new phenomenon. I mean, look at this guy who spent 39 years in prison. Ohio man declared innocent after 39 years on death row,
Wow.
longest wrongful prison Senate in history.
And that
It's
happens a lot.
it's
His
very
case we just heard of.
yeah,
How many other people have done that and their case didn't hit the news?
right, exactly.
There was the case of the hurricane,
Mhm.
which was Bob Dylan wrote a song about,
That's right. It was a good
and
bit.
he was
But
wrongly jailed.
Hurricane.
The hurricane, yeah.
Yeah.
That and he
Yeah.
was free.
That was a
After 2
Denzel
years.
Washington movie, in fact, and he was still in prison when that came out.
Yeah.
He wasn't released until the movie made a
Yeah.
hit.
And he had and Bob Dylan had a whole song about it. I think it was in the 60s.
In the 60s, yeah. I mean, and it
Yeah.
was already proven that the cop shot the other officer.
Mhm.
I mean, what's her name? Shakur, Asai Shakur.
Yeah,
Same thing,
Tupac's
right? Tupac's,
yeah.
yeah. She had to flee to Cuba, right? It's like
I don't know.
it's not the story.
Back in 1999, there was a movie with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence called Life, and it's two guys who
I remember that movie.
they tripped over something, whatever it was, and they got sent to jail, and they basically spent their entire life behind jail for a bogus crime. And I saw this movie, and I'm like, holy crap! How depressing a movie is this? This is
Yeah.
all. I mean, it was a funny movie, but it really wasn't funny because it was really, really depressing. I
Yeah.
didn't like it because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
Those are the realities. I mean, I had I had a student once when I worked in Rikers Island. The guy got 15 years in prison for a car accident because the passenger car, the guy had a heart attack and crashed into him. So they already established that the other driver had a heart attack, crashed into his vehicle, and he died, right? My student went to jail for 15 years because he had 2 drinks. It's like they said, well, if you were sober, you could have avoided it. It's like, no. So you got
because he
15
got
years,
superhuman reflexes, right?
right? Yeah, if you were sober, well, if he was sober, he wouldn't have went to jail. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But because he had 2 drinks in him. Oh, you were under the influence. You caused this accident, but the police already ruled that he was not at fault. And the insurance company didn't pay money because they were not at fault, right? It's like, but you go to jail, and I've seen people's lives destroyed for bullshit.
Leonard Peltier.
Peltier also, yeah, self-defense.
a buddy of mine who
Who
happens
handed right.
to be black, he did something stupid as a teenager. I think he stole a car, went for a joyride.
Yeah,
Did time in jail. When I know him as a 50-year-old, he moved to Florida. He couldn't get a rent because he was a convicted felon.
Mhm.
And he'd been a productive member of society for over 30 years.
Wow.
When do you stop being an ex-con?
Right. And that's the other thing, the stigma of, well, it's funny because if he was rich and born in Queens, he could have been president, and
Yeah.
thought I'd throw that in.
No, that's fine.
What do you
I
stop
would have.
with your income?
Well, even as teenagers, let's say you commit a crime and they give you probation, right? You cut
Yeah.
school or arrive late to school legitimately for a bus ride. Guess what? You're remanded. You go back to prison.
I have a question for you guys. You guys can probably answer me this. because in Canada, because that's where I did my growing up, at 18, your entire file gets scrubbed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've been trying to overturn that, but yeah, that's still true.
It's not
'Cause
so much.
I knew guys were like, okay, I'm still 16. If I get busted, I'll be clean at 18. So I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a perfect system. It's not a good system.
Well, it's not a system for the poor.
It's not a system for the poor.
No.
It's never been. I mean,
Hey guys, I'm a straight white Christian male, so I belong to living in America, so I belong to the most privileged class that ever walked the face of the earth, and I apologize for that. I don't
No,
feel
no.
it. I just know it exists.
no, wait.
We like you, Robert.
Robert. But give
I
him,
am of Italian Sicilian descent, so that's a strike against me.
right. Plus, you got to add income.
Oh,
if you don't have Trump's income, therefore, you're not the most privileged.
No.
You're kind of near the most privileged.
Yeah, you're still working class.
Yeah, you're still working class. It's the really, really rich bastards.
Yes. You're not living in a mansion.
Yeah.
We started watching Succession, and oh my God, these people are entitled SOBs, and they're all stupid. And they're the privilege that they think they have. I love it. The father in the first episode has a heart attack and he's in the hospital, and they're walking around going, "Where's the doctor? I want an answer. I want an answer right now. Stop what you're doing. Stop treating my father and tell me how good my father is. I'm going to get another doctor if I don't get the answer." And I'm like, and I've watched enough doctor shows to know, shut the fuck up, get out of my way, let me do my job, and I will fix your father. Stop.
Right.
Yeah.
You yelling at me isn't helping.
Right.
Yep. Right. And you know what? There are people like that.
Oh my God, I'm sure that.
There's, they live in a whole other different universe up here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that in the lower rungs of society where we live, reality, we think, wow, they got to be really smart. They got to have this thing called the Illuminati. And sure, I'm not going to deny that they don't have a little club.
Right. And we're not in it.
As smart as you think they are.
No,
That's all I'm going to say.
No.
And anyone who's worked in a very big, large corporation knows the higher up it goes up, the less the person at the top knows what's happening at the ground.
Oh, sure. I
It's like
read Lee Iacocca's autobiography.
Mhm.
And when Chrysler was falling apart, he came in and he basically cut everybody's salary, all the management. He dropped his own salary to $1, but he didn't cut the secretary's salary because they were the only ones who actually knew how to turn the computers on, how to run the thing, how to make the copies. They were the backbone of the company.
Yeah.
He understood that, and he treated them with that respect. So
Yeah.
I gave him credit for that. That was actually pretty cool.
And I think that's what's kind of missing right now.
Yeah. Mhm.
You have
that lesson, right?
well the grandkids of these Lee Iacocca's, like a Musk, who probably couldn't find his ass on a map.
Both hands in a mirror.
We're sitting there going, I think they got their hands on the wheel. Oh no, I don't think they're aware that there is a wheel to have their hands on.
Right.
And it's scary, actually. It's very scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Very much so. That people just don't really appreciate the working class. They never have. I mean, these rich people, a lot of them don't even go to work in the morning. They're literally just either working remotely or not working at all, just living off their parents' inheritance. Or
you have never watched IT Crowd, have you?
No.
I sent you the link. I got to send it to you again.
Send-
It deals with all that. It's an old British show,
Mhm.
and it's these guys working in IT,
Mhm.
and their crazy boss who one boss just basically embezzles all the funds, and something happens to him. Then his son takes over, and his son's a total idiot. It's hilarious. It's a comedy. It's a British comedy, but it's hilarious. You should watch it.
There was a back in the '60s in California. They did this work study program. They tried to get college students to come and pick grapes or whatever, and for the summer. And nobody made it through the entire summer. Most of them didn't make it past the first week. They couldn't do it. They didn't know how to do the work, and you know, because we're not used to actually having to work.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And it's it's funny you mentioned that, because my mom, when she was a girl in Spain, there was a period of time where people had to go, no matter, even if you were like college, you had to go out to the field and work. You know, this is then you start to appreciate workers. You're like, oh shit, yeah, that worked. You know what, buddy? You might need 3 raises.
Yeah.
That's how you get to appreciate that. We have a lot of people who are bankers who have no grounding in reality. Everything is numbers, where it's like, oh, what if we just cut this? You can't cut that. That's the oxygen that we need for the rocket to survive.
Right.
Like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, what if we reduce the oxygen?
Right.
We can save all of this, right? So that's who we're run by. And then you got the lawyers who also help them, who run the society. So we got lawyers and bankers. Two of them, and no disrespect to any of my lawyer friends out there. They're probably laughing at me right now. They're the ones who figure out, okay, legally, if they die.
Hey,
Always your responsibility.
I don't think that I think that medical decisions should be made by medical professionals and not some bean counter at the other end. My son, when he was growing up, he had ear infections, and the insurance company wouldn't let us get this one. We had to get the generic version of the ear medicine, and it didn't work. But you had to go through it 3 times before they would let you take the one the doctor recommended. And I'm going, my son's got to go through 10, 15 days of earaches before he can get the thing. And then like the 3rd time he's getting an earache, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? No, this has got to change.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wrong.
It's funny you say that, because I remember that when I was going through family court and I was trying to fight for the rights for my daughter and like get custody, which I failed, but I went to court. It was the same time I was being sued by Marvel in DC. It was simultaneously happening. So I was preparing for 2 cases every month for 4 years. That I was like, hey, I went to the free lawyer thing. I was like, hey, I need like a free lawyer thing. It's like, they're like, well, what do you do for a job? It's like, I'm a teacher for New York. They were like, are you kidding me? Like, you make 3 times the median salary of the average Bronx person. I'm like, what? That's impossible. How can anybody live off of $16,000 a year? That doesn't sound realistic to me. It's like, but apparently the majority of the Bronx, people in the Bronx were like, live on that salary.
I guess they live together with other people.
Yeah. Well, they kind of do what the Hasidics do. They have an off the books job, and then they get the welfare if they're smart.
Nice.
So you're kind of doubling up your income, So
It's such a messed up system.
It's hey, listen, as a freelancer, most of my professional life, I did work off the books. I also did, I did office work. I did construction. I did whatever was available. So yeah, I did. Actually, it was funny. I when I bought my house, and I started doing things like I did some little electrical rewiring. I built a bunch of things, the swing set, the picnic table. I did some, and my wife at the time looked at me and she said, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And I said, I was trained to do all this stuff. You've only known me for 3 or 4 years, and you don't see me doing those things, so you just naturally assumed I didn't know how to do it. But yeah, I can swing a hammer. I know how to use a power drill. I know how to do these things. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
just because you didn't see me do it doesn't mean I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And you know, I think that's in a sense um, why a lot of writers and artists of your generation, even our generation, tends to write more working class stuff. And you can see the newer stuff that's coming out where a lot of people complain about it as being woke. It's not necessarily that it's woke. I think that it's coming from more people who haven't had to do a lot of those jobs. So it's maybe not as relatable as before. Like, take something like Goonies, right? The concept of it is, oh my God, we're going to lose our house. We have to raise money. We don't want to split up.
Right.
That would seem like a weird thing. It'd be like, take the money and go today, right? So wouldn't a lot, I don't think the younger writers would be inclined to write, or I should say, the producers would not produce something like Goonies today in the
I
sense of we're going to lose this. In your working class, you don't have the money to afford to save your home from this conglomerate. And that even that's even brought up. That's not even brought up anymore. It's now from the perspective of the rich kids, you know?
the thing is, interestingly enough, you brought in the woke word. That if you look at the classic films from the 50s and 60s and 70s, all those films, the ones that we remember, they're all woke.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all woke films because we didn't have that word, but it's
Yeah.
it's the little guy fighting against the corporate giant. It's the it's the rescuing the puppy. It's the it's the thing. It's empathy. It's that
Yeah.
part of the film that makes it memorable.
Exactly.
But now, I mean, I had an argument with a guy I know. He made a comment about Star Trek is too woke, and I went, excuse me, the original cast was the most racially, ethnically diverse cast ever to be on primetime TV. Oh, and by the way, there was that interracial kiss. What are you talking about?
Right.
You're a big fan of this stuff. How is it that you don't remember that?
Yeah.
You're mad at me because I pointed it out.
And think of the context too. You have Chekhov. At the time that we're in the middle of the Cold War, you have a Russian as one of the well, he was a supporting character,
Yeah.
and then you have Sulu, who's Japanese. We just got out of the Second World War.
Right.
You know, Japan was not viewed the way that it's viewed today.
Yeah.
Right. So absolutely, yeah, all that stuff.
Storylines, of course, those storylines were all about righting wrongs and standing up to authoritarian characters. The yins and the yangs. Remember that the whole, and everything was reversed in that planet.
Yep. The white, black and white, and they're like, but you're practically the same. Don't say that.
Don't you do
I love that. Yeah. No. And the thing is that you can see it was that generation of writers who fought in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So, you had the Rod Serlings, you had the Richard Mathesons, Gene Roddenberry, and they didn't want the rest of us to have to put up with this horse shit of warfare. So that's why they put out these stories for us to the point that they sunk EC.
Rod Serling wrote The Twilight Zone because they wouldn't let him write it as a real story. So it had to be, science fiction or whatever.
Yeah, because he wanted to do a play on Emmett Till.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, can't be doing that, buddy.
No.
It just goes to show you that the lengths that they'll go to divide.
Oh.
It takes less effort to unify people and to bring people together.
Well, and the thing is,
the polar opposite,
there's people who are discovering Rage Against the Machine.
I know.
And they're like, when did Rage Against the Machine become woke? It's like, have you ever listened to the lyrics back in the 90s?
Right.
Yeah, the people who are objecting to telling Black history are the grandchildren of the people who didn't want Ruby Rose to they were the ones throwing rocks at her.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want people to know their grandparents were,
And in some cases,
Mhm.
because she's just I think she's in her 60s or
Yeah,
70s.
not that. Yeah,
They might be the kids who were throwing the rock.
yeah, they might very
They're
well.
working in Congress.
They might be in Congress.
I just saw something. There was some woman during the civil rights era, a white woman. She was arrested and thrown into a mental institution because they couldn't figure out why a white woman would want to affect black rights. So you have to be crazy. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Really?
I heard about that years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But for me, the thing is that woke in the black community was always like, you're aware, right?
One I know, I worked with her in the. I worked as a deputy registrar of voters in my hometown for a number of years. And the woman who was the senior administrator, she was originally born in Georgia, and I think she's got to be in her 60s now. Her birth certificate says that she's colored.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was a funny point that she pointed. She goes, no, I'm not black. I'm colored.
It's funny how that changes because
Which is also
my
another
birth certificate-
colonial description of people,
my birth certificate, because I was born in Spain. I'll tell you this right now, and I think I mentioned it in previous podcast, but outside of the United States, there's only like 2 other countries. I think it's Singapore and Pakistan that include ethnicity or race. So in Europe, if you tell a European, "Oh yeah, my birth certificate has race," their jaws will hit the ground because they don't include that, right?
Yeah.
But my late brother, he was born in Presidio, and the race he had Negro.
Really?
Yeah, he was born 63, right? So we were chuckle about that, like how completely screwed up is that, right?
Why is that important?
And then we wonder, well, we got a racist problem. Yeah, from the moment you're born, you have to put race. That's where the racism begins systemically.
Whenever someone's telling me a story and they say these 2 black guys, and I always stop them, I go, is it important to the story that they're black, or are they just guys? Because if it's not important to the story, then why are you telling me that? I mean,
right. Yeah.
Actually, it was funny. I was at a free comic book day event, and the guy I was with is a black guy, and I've known him for like 40 years. And TC Ford, I don't know if you guys know TC.
Is it important to the story, Robert?
It is. It actually is. It said he needed me to go catch somebody to. They didn't pay properly. They didn't give him the right amount of money. And I basically was like, is it the old woman or the young woman? And he said, the one with the mask on. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I'm walking away from me. So how do I know she's got a mask on? And I came back, and it was actually the older woman was white and the younger woman was black. And I said, why didn't you just tell me it was the black woman? He said it wasn't important. They said, yes, that was the most obvious description of her. I would have gotten the right woman.
Right.
Not a racial thing. I wasn't targeting her or anything. I just needed to know who it was so I could grab the right person and bring her back so she could pay you the right price.
Right.
But
right.
He didn't see it that way. He saw it. He was trying to just as opposed to what you look like.
Right. And here's the thing, like in France, everything's colorblind, right?
Mm-hmm.
They like to pretend. That's the whole colorblind. So you got the other spectrum. Everything in our country is all about color. Here they try to hide it all. My thing is like, look, you can see color. That's cool. The problem, don't add attributes to the color. That's it. It's not rocket science. It's just a descriptor. They were brown. Okay. All right. Okay. And then you go from there. But unfortunately, it's such a position that now we automatically are loaded, with all these attributes because of skin color. And that's the sad part, right? Because then we get I don't want to talk. Nah, talk about it. Just don't then deviate into something stereotypical or something. That's very easy.
When someone tells me they're colorblind, they say, "So you don't stop at stoplights, then, right?"
People are
Right?
really, I feel like people are really stupid now, and they do racist things whether they realize it or not, or just don't give a shit. I had a
Mhm.
longtime friend send me an image of, I'm not going to share it because it's super offensive, of Michelle Obama screwing Obama in the butt, and they had monkey bodies, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, and then he tries to
Tell them
explain it.
not to share their porn with you. Whatever fetishes they might have, they can
Yeah,
keep it to themselves.
and it was from the same animation thing that Trump had posted on the White House
That's
video.
so nasty.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Is like, my sister is married to a black man. My mom's second husband was a black man. My nieces are black, you know.
Hmm.
It's like, you know this. You know, I don't understand why they think I would find this humorous.
Do you think that they think you might find it humorous, or do you think they're trying to get a rise out of you that'll anger you?
I think that's the case because the guy I buy my comics from, he sent me a meme that was, "Hey, prison's the great. It's what the left wants. You know, it's free housing, it's free food, it's free medical, and same sex." And I went, "That's not funny. It's a rape joke." "No, it's not a rape joke. You have no sense of humor." And we had this huge argument over it. And I was like, "Listen, you've known me for about 20 years. We've told each other jokes. You know I have a sense of humor, and you know I have a twisted sense of humor. This isn't funny. Just because I think this isn't funny." And he kept doubling down. And I said, "You know what? You're just sending me this stuff. And the only time you send me stuff is because you're a libertarian and you want to trigger my leftist, you know, sympathies. And no, it's not funny. And by the way, you're a bully."
Yeah.
I've encountered enough bullies in my life to know when I see one, and that's who you are.
It's like, yeah, they're like kind of like gaslighting you, and
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You know,
Yeah.
I just you know, I don't want to be the person that be like, I'm not talking to you anymore because you voted for this guy. But at the same time, you're like, well, you almost have to be in a sense because they're just fucking morons. Like they drank the fucking Kool-Aid so deep that they don't even see what they've become. You
And
know,
by the way, it wasn't Kool-Aid, it was Flavor Aid. That's the
That's right.
That's making me
It
do
was
that.
Flavor Aid. Mhm. It was Flavor Aid. Kool-Aid got all the marketing.
Oh,
Right.
really? They got
Well, I mean,
pump out of it?
everyone says Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
They didn't say you drank the Flavor Aid. The Flavor Aid is actually an actual drink. They got screwed.
It's like
quarter water. They drank the quarter water, right? It's like the cheapest.
He wanted to use M&Ms as the trail, and M&M was like, "Nah, your last movie was 1941 in a tank. We don't want to be associated with you." So we used the Reese's Pieces, and I was like, "Oh, Reese's Pieces! I'll start buying those." You know, and,
Right.
and they got a big bump out of it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
As they say in PR, there's no such thing as bad PR,
You know.
Right.
unfortunately. But yeah, I think some of it's just to get a rise out of you, to get you angry.
Yeah.
You know, shake you up, and you know, it's being a bully. Exactly. For the libertarians out there, check out Argentina. Libertarianism not doing so hot right now.
And just for a point of reference, we got the quarter.
Oh man, I haven't seen those kind of bottles in a dog's age.
They look like grenades or barrels, right? I mean,
Yeah. No, I mean the lids. The little
yeah, the lids. Yes.
It's been a long time.
Aid. Just for those younger viewers out there, Flavor Aid, right?
And Jim Jones.
And Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, who apparently was tied to the CIA.
And
Yes.
he staged fake assassination attempts against himself.
Yes.
Sounds familiar, Rob.
Yeah, I don't
Actually,
Who would think of such a thing?
know.
and also you think about talking about Jim Jones. You guys are Flavor Aid here, and then think about
There you go.
just one
Flavor
point of
Aid.
reference.
When you got a cult and they're thirsty.
I mean, didn't a U.S. senator got killed with his bodyguards when they went to go check up on the situation of Jim
Yeah.
Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, that's when everyone died, which is like, those bodies were actually, if you look at the media news, everybody was turned face down when the media got there, and the numbers increased because originally it was like 900, and then very next day the media changed the number to like over 1,200, and there was also I'm going into conspiracy theory here since you mentioned Jim Jones. There were people found that were not just in that cult, but there were like members of Black Panther Party members who had disappeared for over 5 years that they found their corpses there. They were missing. So it's like they were saying that place was actually a work camp for people that were abducted, so it's like the other side of it. So
Our
CIA
government has done so much shady shit.
Yeah, like missing demonstrators, missing people that they were presumed dead. They found their bodies there, and then so it went from 900 people that were followers or whatever to like 1,200 and something.
That sounds like the story. The two-seater Cessna crashed in a Polish graveyard, and they're still digging the bodies out.
Or in Iran, where they blew up the nuclear facility, and then 6 months later, we're blowing it up again because they might dig it out.
Yeah.
Well, they were saying that a lot more soldiers have been killed in Iran.
Oh, sure.
So all of a sudden, if you start hearing, "Oh yeah, this soldier died in a car accident,"
Exactly.
Well, the first weekend, international media said it was over 1,200 that died, and we said 3. Then we changed it. Oh no, it was 6. But
then 12.
And then 12. And then the German hospitals where the United States were flying their wounded soldiers were completely filled.
Like women who were scheduled to have their kids at the hospital were actually turned away. That's how full the hospitals were.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I currently don't believe anything I'm hearing from this administration.
Yeah.
I'm like that with every administration.
Wow.
This one, even more so.
Even more so.
I'm like,
Like-
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll wait about 6 months. If it still holds, I'll believe it in 6 months.
I'm waiting till after the midterms to.
Yeah. Oh, this one's going to take about 6 years after they're done.
Yeah, that's true. The next president it will be a Democrat, and he won't have a real first term. He'll spend this entire 4 years fixing the bullshit that has happened since.
The ball of yarn that's been tangled up.
Oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all sorts of bodily fluids have been added to that ball of yarn.
Oh, that's just. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
just adding extra. I heard that El Duce, the orange El Duce, doesn't want to get rid of his steel cage in front of the White House.
Keeping that because it's. I can't even. I can't even.
It's not even America's sport. Like, okay, you build a baseball court, baseball little stadium in front of the White House. Okay, it's one of America's sports. Basketball, football, but UFC. That's not an American. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not an American sport. It is, but it isn't like.
He was he actually was in the WWE for a while.
I remember, yeah.
I only remember because I heard about it.
I just remember because of the wonderful gifs that I like sharing every so often of them.
Yeah.
When they tell us, "Oh, Democrats vote for celebrities," I'm like,
They
you guys literally have a deep celebrity.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Republicans had Clint Eastwood. They had Arnold Schwarzenegger. They had Ronald Reagan, who was actually both a Democrat and a Republican.
Terrible actor.
There's a lot of Hey, who doesn't like Bedtime for Bonzo?
Bedtime for Bonzo.
Who doesn't like bedtime Bonzo?
Speaking of which, I recently, a few months ago, I rewatched the old Genesis song,
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, with the puppets.
Land of
Yeah.
Confusion,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
it is really trippy because all the shit that we're seeing today,
The same shit.
it's the
Cold
same
War. It's
shit
all
from
over
the
again.
80s. We just
Yes.
got the blonde version of Reagan, you
Right.
know.
Exactly.
It's like the
Exactly.
video games. You could choose Ken with the blonde hair, or you could choose
Right.
Ken with the blue
And
hair.
if you remember, that show also criticized Israel also for war crimes against Palestinians. They had episodes where they made fun of them, talking about who has who's they had a game show, and they're like, who is
I
has the most
remember, yeah.
crimes in the world, and the guy kept saying South Africa, and they're like, no, Israel.
Who, by the way, Israel supported.
Right, exactly. Yes, they did. They did.
Israel
Hook,
supported.
line, and sinker. You know, they did. That's for sure. You know.
And I got to get one thing off my chest because a certain person died here in France, Marjane Satrapi,
Yep, I had mentioned that earlier.
Persepolis.
Persepolis.
People are going to get angry at me.
Miguel, I don't know who that is. Can you?
Well, we
tell me?
Persepolis,
that.
the author Persepolis. So people are
Oh,
going to get angry
yeah,
at me.
yeah. What
Yeah.
a great book that was. Martha
She
and I were,
passed away.
Yeah, she
But-
passed a broken heart.
yeah, her husband passed. Yeah, I have that. I think I'm fairly certain I saw the film, but we're looking for it online. We're gonna rent it and watch it again.
Don't hate me.
No, why would I hate you? That was a great book.
I love the book. I always took it from her experience
Mhm.
in Iran. I grew up around a lot of immigrant families, whether Portuguese or Romanian, whatever. Technically, part of me was an immigrant because of my mom, right? And one thing I always understood and learned
There she goes.
is your country is always frozen when you leave. Like my in-laws, Susie's Portuguese.
Mhm.
Portugal was frozen to them for a long time from when they had left Portugal. And when they got back, there was a certain culture shock. So I always took her work from the perspective of that's her childhood.
Right.
It's very valid. And all the things that she was saying, I was like, okay, I can see it as a perspective. However, in her adulthood, she was a hardcore Zionist. And from that perspective, it's just like, oh, how could you be? She pretty much blamed everything that's going on in the Middle East on Iran solely. Never mentioned it. However, in her adulthood,
Right.
so that's where it's like,
All
I
right.
love her work. I love what she was bringing to it. And I'm sure there'll be other
She
Iranians.
was upper
who
middle
might have a
class, by
different
the way,
perspective.
too. Yeah, she
What's that?
wasn't. She was upper middle class. She wasn't working class. So
That's right. And that also took that into consideration too. A lot of people who are wealthier who leave, and there's a certain anger too that you can have.
Yeah.
God knows. I might know this anger very well when it comes to Spain.
yes, yes.
Seeing that my grandfather my grandfather died under house arrest in
Mhm.
Spain because of Franco. And then having the US make the deal with the guy who essentially was responsible for my grandfather being put into under house arrest, Franco, I totally get it. But anger's a poison, and it's a poison that you can be used by others to give a certain image. And I mean, she even said that Mélenchon was like pretty much Hamas. Mélenchon is like the far left here. No, he's not Hamas. So yeah, there's some issues here in France, and there's some arguments over it, and the Persian community even has some issues. That's not knocking her work though. Like her work is,
Yeah.
it's a personal diary. That's how I took it as. So
At this point in the conversation, I have to come clean and say that the mother of my children is Jewish, and my daughter is now living in Israel.
Mm.
with her husband and my grandchild and my granddaughter.
Very
And-
dangerous.
And my daughter and son-in-law both are American who served in the IDF, and so I have a hard time having a conversation about Israel and Pakistan and Gaza, and my son is he and his wife also gave me a granddaughter. They just a couple of months ago, and they both work in D.C. for Democrats.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
good.
I've already told Ray my late brother converted to Judaism.
Okay.
And his kids, yes. So I know where you're coming from, right?
Yeah. I have a hard time. I just had a conversation. I was at my church's picnic, and our deacon, our former deacon, said he was asking about my daughter, and he said, yeah, she's in Israel, right? What do you think of it? And I said, Deacon, I cannot have this conversation. I literally cannot, because my daughter is in Israel. I think there should be a two-state system. I think that Netanyahu is a warmonger, and who thinks the only good Palestinian is a dead Palestinian. I can't. It's too raw for me.
And that's very controversial. You really can't say that there without repercussions,
Right.
Yeah. Well, I know if my late brother was still alive, and we might have actually not talked for a long while. It would have been like, no, we're like.
We have some comments, but from Facebook, that's why we can't see them. But Andrew Frank Rodriguez, hello, Andrew, says they turned the White House into the hee-haw trash mess lab.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
And then TC Ford commented, they still sell them.
Mhm.
And then we got Mateo Lopez saying, what's up, guys? Need an
I
autograph.
guess the bottles.
Yes. You guys can leave your comments on YouTube, and we'll be able to see them here live. So,
Yeah, no, I hear you, Robert.
No,
And
it's
it's a very painful thing to do, and if you
Mhm.
on everything else you get along great with your family.
My younger brother is he's a hardcore Trumper, and we didn't talk for a really long time. Yeah, but once our mother passed last year, the year before, we've actually been able to reconcile a lot, and we just don't talk politics.
Yeah.
We just talk about because we're still brothers, and and he's
Yep, that's
we
the thing,
can we've reached detente, as it
you
were.
have this integration of our military. I mean, even if you're in the IDF, you are being compensated from U.S. tax dollars.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Give billions of dollars in aid to Israel. They have free health care, they have free education, and they have access to abortion, because in Jewish tradition, life begins at birth.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's getting more integrated now. They just passed they passed a bill. It's not a law yet, but they're going to integrate our militaries to sharing data, information, intelligence.
They already do that.
Yeah.
They do,
They're
but now
just saying it's just like a formality. It's like,
well,
we
yeah,
should
but
do
I
it,
think the
we're
difference is
just
that
gonna
they don't have to
tell you.
vote on it anymore. Before they had to vote on it and say we're going to allocate this, but once it's integrated, it's just
I think, you know what, I think they've been doing it the whole time.
oh
they
yeah,
just-
for sure. But
They just want to just come out and say, yeah, by the way, we
Right.
just this is how. Yeah, exactly. Most of the shit that they pass in terms of bills and stuff is because it's shit they're doing already.
right.
Absolutely.
So Robert, your daughter's not in Tel Aviv, is she?
No, she's she's not in Tel Aviv. No.
Okay, that's good, because that's getting hit really hard. It's
Yeah.
scary.
She's someplace else, and I really don't want to say it out loud. But
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Understandable.
So someone, what they, we only have 4 people watching us right now, so don't worry about it.
Right.
It's like
Well,
I hear you.
we're gonna find Sidaros.
My brother's kids, with the second wife who's Jewish, that's who he converted for. When the whole thing broke out, October 7th, they were in Haifa,
Mhm.
So I contacted my niece from my brother's first marriage. I said, "Have you checked up on your brother and sister to make sure?" So they yeah. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Robert.
Yeah,
So
I checked up on them, and I kind of I, I'm making sure that once every couple of weeks I text her a lot, and we do FaceTime a little bit, but it's fun because my granddaughter had just turned 4, and she's been speaking to me in a combination of toddler English and Hebrew, so I'm getting every third word or so, and
Ah,
it's actually pretty. But so they know who I am, and I actually got to meet her. She before my mom passed, my daughter came over to the U.S. and brought Mia with her, so she got my mom got to meet
I
Mia.
got a solution for that. Yeah, my son was raised with dual language, and how we did it was my master's was in ESL, so it's like I told my wife only speak to him in Chinese. I will only speak to him in English. And as a baby, he was able to figure out, okay, I'm talking to mom Chinese. Okay, I'm talking to dad English. Now it's funny, he's never taken a Chinese class. His friends have, his friends that are mixed, and some of them that are just full Chinese are taking language classes being here in the US. He speaks better Chinese, fluent Chinese, than his friends who grew up in a full Chinese household where they talk Chinese all the time. And they become more Americanized and just want to speak English.
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I grew up with two. So I by the time I was 4, I spoke English and Spanish.
Yeah.
But I was at the time I lived in Spain till I was 8.
Mhm.
So at home we would speak Spanish or English, but once we were outside, we would speak English.
Mhm.
But I would go to school in Spanish.
Right.
My
Um,
my parents were second generation Italian, and at home they would speak Italian only when they wanted to speak to each other and not have us know what they were talking about.
Same here. My parents were the same way.
No,
They
I
told
never
us
never
Spanish,
became
they didn't want us to talk
Interesting.
the conversation. But we
yeah.
knew what they were talking about when the furniture started to fly.
Wow. Excuse me, I'm going to step away for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, a lot of the immigrants I've known, like Susie speaks fluent Portuguese, but at home they would speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, first generation immigrant kids are the ones who do the translating
Yes,
for the parents.
very
I
much
think a
so.
lot of times that they start to lose their second language is because don't they don't want to be associated with that anymore. They're tired of, I mean, America's very hard on people who speak a second language. It's very often that you hear, "Why don't you speak English?"
Right.
Right?
AI viewer stream bow.com. What's that? I don't know what that is. Somebody,
So
go ahead,
there's
continue.
that. Now, my kids speak 3.
Right. Yeah, my son speaks French now too. He's
Um,
he had Duolingo.
and I did the most brutal thing to them. So we
Oh,
got to Spain. I tossed them into Spanish school.
oh, you
Like
did.
the most my son knew was agua, water.
Mhm.
But I'm like, we're gonna move to Spain anyway. You're gonna have to go to school there. So he gets in there. 4 years in, speaking fluently. Him and his sister. His sister was 2 years younger. They're like, yeah, we're moving to France. Oh, great, Dad. Do they speak Spanish there? Nope.
Nope.
Tossed them back into the school system. Now they speak French fluently. Their Spanish is a little bit rusty, so I got to get that back.
Yeah.
But when they start arguing with each other or want to talk with each other, they'll start talking in French.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they'll complain about France all the time. It's like, France, this, that, which is very French, actually. The French complain about themselves all the freaking time. And they complain about it, but they speak it. So their big dream now is to move to Spain, which I get. More sunshine.
Yeah.
Growing up, our grandmother would there was like half a dozen words that she would speak. Andiamo, venica, a couple of things. Come here, hurry up.
Yep.
So and so those words were in my head. And when my kids were younger, those words came back into my.
That's wild. Yeah.
Caminad, walk.
Yeah.
Like just a handful of words came back into my usage.
Yeah.
And at one point, there was a family that lived down the street from us that played, and their kids played with my kids, and they were from Italy. And when I started, every once in a while, when I talked to my kids, I would, Venica, andiamo. And the daughter, who was my son's age, turned and looked at me, and I went, oh, right. I'm probably the first person you've ever seen who's not related to you that spoke in Italian.
Yeah.
Those are the only words I know. So calm down.
Yeah. That's wild. That's great. Yeah, because it's good for the kids, and you know what? They're finding that it's good for older people too to have that second language for brain cognition and everything else. So
yeah.
It's really sad.
My daughter had come back over before she got married. She came back to the States, and I'm driving. I'm in the car with her, and I'm driving, and I just looked over at her phone, and she's texting in Hebrew. And I went, "Wait, you can do that?" Yeah, there's like an app you switch over and text in Hebrew, and I went, "Oh, that's actually really cool."
Right. Oh yeah, there must be a keyboard, right? Like one of the keyboards that's Hebrew.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, she was able to change the keyboard to Hebrew,
Mm-hmm.
just digitally.
Yeah, because that's the cool thing. Yeah, with regular keyboards, you have to buy a whole brand new freaking keyboard just to write in a different language.
God, I remember learning that the Chinese keyboard for a computer, it's like 3 times the size of an American keyboard because they have 7,000 different figures.
Can you imagine memorizing all that? It's just like, whoa,
It just shows you how complex the brain is. I remember when I was younger that I knew every phone number in my phone book. But once the cell phone came into play,
oh my,
I no longer memorize numbers.
Yeah, brain goes now.
I know my wife's number. She's *2.
Mm-hmm. I
remember in high school, and once I asked one of my Chinese friends, I'm like, man, I don't be an asshole, but I want to ask you, like, you guys really do good in math. Why is it? He says, have you seen our language? We go to math the way you guys go to English.
Right.
So that's why we revere our poets, because they can remember all this shit. Right?
Exactly, yeah. No, I find it fascinating, the language has always been a curiosity to me. I mean, unlike my son, I studied language and then I quit. In the middle of it, it starts to get complex. So my Spanish is pretty terrible. I was learning Japanese when I was with my ex for 7 years. And I was starting to get the basics, and then we broke up, and that was it. And then Chinese. I've been with my wife for 25 years, and Chinese.
Was your ex-girlfriend Japanese?
Yeah, she was.
How does your current wife feel about that?
No comment. Whenever she gets mad, she's like, "Oh, you should. I'm sure you regretted breaking up with your millionaire Japanese girlfriend." I was like, yeah.
They get along so great.
When I was in high school, I was taking Spanish, and my second year Spanish was a work study program. So we basically were studying on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And we would read a chapter and then take a test in the chapter. And then if we didn't we needed to get 8 out of 10 answers right. And if you got less than that, you went back and restudied the chapter and then retook the test. And I did really well because I memorized the answers, because the test was always the same. So, okay, last time I put down B, so there's got to be C this time. So I did pretty good, and I did really well. Now, the person who we were supposed to get to like chapter 22. So the gal who got the furthest, she got to chapter 21. She got an A. I got to chapter 20, so I got a B. But the following year, in third semester, We started at chapter 23, so I'm 2 chapters behind. I was completely lost. I completely, all my Spanish, they couldn't. I just couldn't catch up. I just didn't. They didn't continue that program.
Wow.
Yeah, but then when my ex-wife was Jewish, my father-in-law we would have a Seder at our house.
Mhm.
And it got to a point where he'd get tired. He couldn't read the whole story.
Mhm.
So he would pass it along, and the next person, and everybody would read a couple of paragraphs, And one year, I decided to take the temple offered how to read Hebrew. So I started taking it. We did really well. So when it came to my turn to read that year, I read my chapter in Hebrew
Mhm.
because I could read it. I had no idea what it said, but I could read it. And everybody looked at me and went, "How did you do that?" I've been studying. I have no idea what it says, and then of course I lost it all. But
Right.
I really would always like to go back and relearn it because eventually.
Well, I was gonna say, you guys, like Spanish is like the easiest of the bunch of languages. If you, especially for you, Robert, you know a little bit of Italian. It just, that once you learn one Latin language, the others just fall like, except for French.
We're always astounded here in America that somebody knows 5 and 6 languages, and the answer is like you said, once you learn one, it's easier to learn others, especially when they're related, like the Romance languages.
And that's when it gets hard, though, because the problem is they start to bleed into each other, right? So you're like, oh, yeah, that's the Spanish word. The word I need to tell you is this.
Oh, God.
So I'll give you an example. In Portuguese, the word for chair is cadeira.
Mm-hmm.
The word for hip in Spanish is cadera. The word in Catalan for chair is cadera. So Portuguese and Catalan, that word just fuses right over. Spanish, not so much. A hip and a chair, although related, not the same.
You ever listen to an Orthodox rabbi speak? It's fascinating to listen to them. They'll use whatever word works, whether it's an English word, a Yiddish word, a Hebrew word. They'll just use that word. And there's a movie called Snatch.
Yes. I love that movie.
And the first 10 minutes, there's these two Hasidim rabbis are talking, and they're and I'm listening, and I'm getting again every third word because it's whatever they're talking about, and they just randomly pick out a word and use that word because that's the best word to use. And it's fun to listen to them. And it turned out that they weren't really rabbis; they were knocking over
yeah, it was Benicio del Toro.
Yes,
it was the guy who was knocking over.
Mhm.
It's funny you mentioned that because there was one guy I met here he was in Paris, and in Paris you'll see, just like in New York, the guys who sell all the trinkets, like the African dudes.
Mhm.
They exist here too, by the way, which is the weirdest thing when you leave one part of the world and you come over here, and it's the exact same shit, right? And he happened to be the guy who's in charge of all of them. So I'm chit-chatting with him, and he's like, yeah, he speaks perfect English, speaks perfect French, switches over to Spanish. And I'm like, by the way, like, how many languages do you speak? Oh, 15. Takes out his little Korean hat, because there's some Korean tourists that were coming, and speaks perfect Korean.
Wow.
I'm like sitting there with my jaw on the floor. So he finishes with them, and he turns to me, and I'm like, oh, so, like, how'd you pick up Korean? Oh, my girlfriend's Korean. That's where I get all the trinkets from Asia. And I'm just like, like 2 languages, 3, and you're like, but 15. I was like, oh, crap. And of course, he's like, yeah, and then there's the African dialects like Wolof and a whole bunch of other languages. So there's a whole world out there that, it exists in New York too. The problem is that our culture makes people feel ashamed of speaking a second language.
That's true.
And then if you're a higher
It's
class,
subliminal.
then it's a privilege to have a second language. But if you're an immigrant, I remember there was a deli I used to go in Manhattan when I would go to Manhattan. Every time I walk in, we speak Spanish. One time I walk in, I start speaking Spanish, and they're all like speaking to me in English. And I look down at the very bottom of the deli is some old looking white dude sitting there, and I'm like, oh, boss is in.
Ah, nice. I was
You
working
know.
with a guy. I was working with a Polish guy, and
Mhm.
we were driving someplace, and like somebody else drove up next to him, and it was a friend of his, and it was a Russian, so he was speaking to the guy in Russian, and then at some point he goes, "Yeah, I'm just a dumb Polak." I went, "No, no, you're not a dumb Polak. You can speak Polish, you can speak Russian, you can speak English. I can only speak English, so you're already smarter than I am. I got no problem with that. I don't
Right.
know.
And I'll be honest with you, this is something that has to be said because oftentimes we look to the British as being, oh, that posh accent just melts everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just like America. They only speak overall one language.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because when they're over on the continent, they're just like Americans in the sense. Actually, I would say Americans try. From the Americans I've seen abroad,
Mm-hmm.
they'll try to speak the language a little bit. Brits are very imperious.
Yeah, I loved it. To go back to the movie Snatched, when the American gangster comes over and he's teaching everybody speaks in a dialect, and he's going, "I'm
Oh,
in England. Doesn't anybody speak English here?" Because he doesn't
yes.
anybody.
Here's the thing, like you really realize how classist English in England really is when you can tell the person's income by their accent, which to me was always like, that's screwed up.
Yeah,
Like if you speak Cockney, I automatically know you're from the working class.
You're a dirty diesel.
Yeah, like it's crazy, right? And I was trying to think about that. Like, is that like that in Spanish? Aside from the regionalisms, because there is regionalism. God, they revel in that. Like, is there like a Madrid Cockney? No, there isn't. It's like you just speak Castilian, what everyone calls Spanish. It's like that's messed up because it's all London-based accents, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then they do. This is the part where it gets really weird. And they did have it in Snatch. Well, they'll say things like, I'm going to the bank to get bangers and mash."
Mhm.
And you're like, fuck, they got a, you know, like a whole food thing no. The next word that rhymes with mash is cash.
Right,
So
right,
it's a whole fucking rhyming game.
right.
It's it's its own universe. And I
yeah,
love Snatch for that because it shows,
yeah. It's such a
Great
great
movie.
film.
Great movie. I
except for
still
the
don't know what a
stereotypes with
pikey
gypsies,
is.
but oh well, you know.
So is a pikey a gypsy or is there?
Yes, yes, and gypsies, it's Roma, but you know, the poor gypsies, man, they get crapped on by everyone. Oh, like Spain, they crap on them, but the gypsies, well, the Roma in Spain hate the Spaniards. They have a word called, I think it's called gallo. Is it gallo? It's something like that, which is a derogatory word for a native Spanish person. They hate each other.
I work with a lot of African kids, and they're like first generation immigrants, and I always hear them argue like, "Oh, you're Nigerian. Oh, you're from Kenyan. Oh, God." I was like, it's like, so they have the same thing. I almost think it's like human nature, like
Well,
you
you have a continent twice the size of the United States.
Mhm.
Like, let's put it in context,
Mhm.
right? Like Europe could fit in a corner of Africa.
Oh yeah, it fit like 5 or 6 countries in Africa.
Yeah, it's like massive.
Yeah.
Then you add to it that the Brits went there, and their whole strategy was this: okay, we're going to take this kingdom, and we're going to trace a little line to just get a little bit of this kingdom in here, and we're going to create a country called Nigeria,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are parts of Nigeria that are actually probably better off with Mali or better off with other places. So you add the colonial side to it. Yeah, and I mean, when people say Africa, it's like it's massive.
Yeah.
It's
We
massive.
did the British did the same thing in the Middle East. They carved up countries irrespective
Oh,
of the actual borders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to say the French did it with them too, so they deserve some of the blame.
You know, they're all in.
Yep, absolutely. So
You know, listen, I remember being in high school and watching a 60-minute episode, and they were talking about how in Israel there's a Orthodox guy living over here, and then there's a Reform guy living next door. And the Reform guy, it's the weekend, so we're gonna have a barbecue. And the Reform guy's going, no, it's the Sabbath, it's Shabbat. You can't do that over here. And so they would, you know, and so they would start praying outside, and to annoy them. And this guy would have a party on the Sabbath just to annoy this guy. And I'm watching this, I'm going, excuse me, do you guys understand that there's a Palestinian down the street that wants to kill both of you, right? What is your problem?
well, never bring up Ashkenazis to Sephardis.
Yes, that much I know too. Yes,
So,
I'm apparently Sephardic.
oh, okay.
I mean, I resemble Sephardic. I don't know that that I have any of that in me, but
Well, the Mediterranean wasn't that uncommon. I mean,
No.
No,
Hey,
my
listen.
last name's Felix, and that's also like Sephardic as well. So that's
Yeah.
I love what was it, True Romance, the film, where
oh,
yeah, that section of that film,
That
was
section.
going like, hey, I'm Sicilian, so I got definitely more than the one drop of blood there.
oh, you know who I actually did that to. It was that very Bud Rosa.
Mm.
He was that guy that used to draw Spider-Man, really racist. And for whatever reason, we ended up being friends on Facebook, and he was saying some really anti-black stuff. He was popular, like, I think in the 90s for Marvel. He would draw Spider-Man, and he was saying some racist stuff. But I know he was Sicilian.
Yeah.
So I dropped one of those comments. We stopped being friends.
Well, I don't understand why people do that. That's the same thing in the industry. I remember when I was younger, people would say, like, oh, some people think I'm a racist. I'm not racist. I just hate everybody. I was like, no, that's an excuse for being a racist. Then in 10 minutes, they would say something anti-black or anti-Hispanic. It's like, no, dude, you're just in denial.
No.
You're in denial. It's like,
Absolutely. Now, you might want to say that to get out of jury duty.
Right. Oh, you know what I used to say?
That's not a good policy.
I was like, and I wanted to be on a jury. I was like, just let me know, I do work at a prison. They're like, you're dismissed. I was like, what?
Because you're going to be biased. That's why. Yeah. Yeah, I did the jury duty thing.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be on a jury duty trial, a really good big case, but no, because I always feel like no, you're a teacher? No. Oh, you're a teacher that works in prison? No, we don't want you. It's like,
I actually did when I was living in Richmond. I wound up on a couple of juries.
oh, nice.
And,
Which was the biggest case?
I'm sorry?
Which was the biggest case? Can you talk about it now?
Yeah, no, I actually, neither one of them actually went to trial. One of them I was dismissed from because the kid, he something about the fact that he was not allowed to own a weapon until he was 21, and he got caught with a weapon in a car stop. He had a gun in the car, and nobody told him he had turned 18. He thought he could buy a gun, and no one told him he couldn't. So I felt that he was being detained. It wasn't his fault. He should get let go because it was an honest mistake on his part. So they said, yeah, you can go. And I went, okay, thank you very much. And the second one was, I forget what the second one was about, but we actually got into the jury pool, and then the two combatants, they settled out of court. So we never actually went to trial on that one.
Mm. Yeah, it seems like the courts always want people to settle outside them, make a deal, rather than see the judge. It's like,
Well, it saves a lot of time, I guess, right?
it saves time, but at the same time, some people plead guilty because they say, well, if you go to trial, you could do 30 years or 25 years.
Yeah.
And If you just blow trial, you'll get 10 to 15. And then it's like, well, if you're innocent,
Well,
would you do that?
yeah, in criminal court, yeah, that's bad. In civil court,
Hmm.
and there's some things where it's like they shouldn't even make it to trial.
Right.
Um, in
Just,
civil court, not criminal. Criminal court, that's
yeah.
different.
I've seen a lot of young men go to prison for a very long time for things they
Yeah.
didn't do, or, they were guilty for other things, but they were caught for something they didn't do. It's a saying goes, your karma will catch up to you, right? In one form or another. So,
I like to say that we're punished by our malice.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Our behavior will definitely clip us in the end.
I remember this one guy crying. I became a little jaded when I was working in Rikers, and this guy was crying in my classroom. I was like, "What's the matter, man?" He's like, "I just came back from trial, and they gave me 15 years." And I was like, "Well, why didn't you fight it in court?" He was like, "Because I'm guilty." I was like, "Well, what did you do?" And he was like, "Oh, all I did was take a sawed-off shotgun and shoot this old lady in the head because she wouldn't give me the purse." And I was just like, it
But
sounded like
you,
something out of a movie. Like he had a stroller, sawed-off shotgun, tried to rob the old lady for the bag. She wouldn't let it go, so he blew her head clean off. She had $15 in the purse. So I'm like, well, look at it this way. You got a year for every dollar that you was in there. It's like, and I was just like, well, if I shot your grandmother with a sawed-off shotgun, how would you feel about it? I'd kill you, man. There you go. Time well
wow.
served. You know, you know. Now he's probably out because unless he got caught up with something else, but that was 2000.
So Ray, if you want to start some shit with your students, they're African,
Mhm.
ask them who makes the best jollof rice in West Africa.
Jollof rice. Jollof rice. I'll look it up.
Oh, that'll start some shit. It's Ghana. No, it's Nigeria.
Oh, they get on each other. I mean, you can see, even though they're here in the United States, you can still see that they don't call it classism. The caste system is there, right? Like you
Well,
see it there. Like
most of the kids that immigrate from West Africa, though, to the United States, gotta have this.
yeah.
So you're getting, yeah. So that you have to keep in mind.
You see that perception of like, oh, you're this or you're that.
Oh yeah.
I worked in this
But
one school in Jersey.
Nigerians have told me this.
They make the best
They
rice.
do have an abundance of confidence.
Yes. Yes.
An abundance of it.
It's like I thought it was funny. My second year in Jersey, I worked at Malcolm X Shabazz High School, and we had a lot of African teachers, and when they were giving out the scholarships, and they were basically like the Chinese, right? It's like they got all the scholarships,
They get high grades, man.
we had like $2 million in scholarships, and all the Black American parents, they're shouting, they're dancing, like the parents are dancing in the aisles, they're announcing. They're not quietly, they're not just clapping, they're like dancing, they're stomping, like if they're at a rock concert on the bleachers. Every time someone, and then the American Black parents are just looking at him like, shut up. Because they didn't get anything. So it's like you see the American parents upset, it's just like it's like, hey, you gotta study,
Well, I had a friend in high school. He was Nigerian. This guy cracked me up. His dad was a lawyer. I remember once, the worst driver I ever met. He got a speeding ticket. We were living in Canada. We were living in Kingston. I was living in Kingston, which borders is it Watertown,
right.
New York. He got a speeding ticket in Watertown.
And he wasn't even in a car.
Oh man, he was just. We just knew it was him because he would just drive up on the side of the freaking curb, like, yeah, here comes Danny. So he got a speeding ticket in upstate New York, and he was petrified of his father finding out. One, his father was super strict. Two, his father was a lawyer. So he was trying to raise money borrowing money from everybody to pay off the speeding ticket so his dad wouldn't hear about it. So they're very strict too. Like African parents are super strict with their kids. They don't play, you know. So there's that. That's I think is a, and you know, Asian parents are the same way, man.
Yeah, very disciplinarian.
Very, very
I
much
mean,
so.
my parents were very strict, but because I was a boy, it gave me a lot of latitude more than my sisters. They were more strict with my sisters.
That I taught in Spain, and let's just say that boys are very spoiled in Spanish culture.
Oh yeah,
My dad's Black American, right? My mom was Spanish, and
Yeah.
they'd argue all the time. And when I got to teach in Spain, I called up my dad. I said, Dad, I got to see my childhood in third person perspective.
You're like,
How did you stay with mom for as long as you did?
"Oh, for real.
Because she was very relaxed. Like, boys can do it, but very strict on girls. Like,
Yeah.
not that I had my sister that I have she's from another marriage, but very hard on girls. But boys can do anything in that culture, man. Like,
I was
you know,
drinking beer at
it's-
12. you know?
and they're just babied in that way. Not saying that you were baby, but there's a lot more latitude given for boys. And that goes to the beginning of the conversation we had about sexism and priesthood and all that other stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's very embedded in our culture.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Very much so. Yeah. I
Gentlemen,
remember play with murder.
much fun as I'm having right now. If I don't get this, I got to get this book I'm doing for.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up.
all right.
Hey, I just hold on. I want to show this. This is the book I did.
The
This
Clockwork God.
No,
Nice.
this one I just did this. This is Paul Kupperberg wrote this,
Nice.
Excellent.
and I did the design on that. The other one he did, the one I just finished, is called the Clock. It's a 1940s pulp noir kind of a. And I gave him the hard copy. He did the that's just went up on Amazon. This one's up on Amazon also, and now I got to put together the ebook. So I got to
Nice.
get that done, and I got a script I have to write and get it to my artist today. So I'm a busy guy, and you guys are distracting me.
Well, thanks for coming on short notice. I literally texted the chat
No,
today.
this was fun. I had I'm having a really good time. You know what? I'm more than happy to join you whenever you're doing, and we can actually talk about some of the stuff that I'm actually working on.
And
Excellent.
actually, I need to hit you up for a new intro for the next Trump book. So that's
Good. Yeah, definitely interested in that.
Sitting cooling its jets for the last 6 months. I already finished the first section.
Oh, great. I already have an idea of what I wanted to say.
I'm sure you have an abundance of what to
Oh
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
The last time, the last I did an intro to the first Trump book, and it
You
was
went
basically I wrote it to spite a particular individual, because you know what, you have to have a sense of humor about this. This is all
Yeah.
satire, and you got to have a sense of humor about it. I have less of a sense of humor now, but
Right.
you know,
It's because it's so serious now,
yeah,
right?
I got a real opinion on it this time.
It's really crazy, and we're like in the upside down. You know, I feel like everything doesn't make sense. You ever seen that TV show called The Man of High Castle? That's how I feel. We're in.
What I know about it.
Yeah. It was based on a Philip K. Dick book
Yeah.
Yeah,
with the Japanese one.
to go back. No, the Germans won.
Both.
Yeah, but the Japanese and the
Oh, all
Germans
right.
split.
And they split. They divide America.
Yeah.
I hear you. The to go back to the misogynistic nature of the world, the two most qualified people to ever run for the presidency were both women, and they both lost to the same guy who was so totally and completely incompetent. And the reason why they lost is because neither one of them had a penis.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna add a little acid to that too.
Mhm.
The same year that a woman was running in the United States
Mhm.
against that little orange menace,
Orange man.
a woman in Mexico was elected.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm so
You
glad,
know,
and I'm
because
so
we're like, oh, Mexico, right?
I'm so glad Kamala didn't get elected, because we'd have high gas prices, and we'd be at war. And oh wait, never mind.
I just thought it was a matter of time before we got a Yahoo. It's just a matter of time, because even if we got Kamala or whoever, it was just, I mean, we've been swinging this way forever. We went from
We need
Carter,
to-
Reagan,
Yes.
Reagan, Bush, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush,
Yeah,
Obama,
right.
Trump, you know, Biden, Trump. So it's just a matter of time. It's just
Matter of
basically
time.
like
When you had Dicks and Bushes, it's a matter of time before someone gets fucked. Or trumped.
We have to
too many names about people's, you know,
You got Dick Cheney, George Bush.
dicks,
Like,
dicks and
America
bushes.
gets
And, you know,
yeah.
it's not good.
It's not
No.
good.
We're just missing sphincter.
Sphincter, yes.
All right, guys.
Someone's gonna get shitted on after that. It's like, but
Yeah.
Robert, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And-
great seeing you again. Great talking to you again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Ray, seriously, I'm looking to get into some shows in the New York area. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I need to expand on where I'm going. You know, with
Yeah.
either White Plains or the city, or you know.
The
So
White Plains Con was canceled this year. You know, Bronx Heroes hasn't had a show since 2019.
forever. Yeah.
Actually,
20
no,
what?
the convention was 2019. The last show we did was in Queens. That was the
Wow.
Women in Comics show.
Mm.
Then I did in 2022. I did the Batman Day show in the Bronx, but that was more of an art show.
Mm. Yeah. I couldn't get into that one.
Yeah,
I want the Schoenberg. I want to go in.
that's another.
Yeah, I know. Just to go in and walk around. That's always a fun show to just show up.
It used to be one of my favorites, but you know, we had ever since we had the division between women and comics, it seemed like a lot of
Everybody hates it
a
now,
lot of
man.
gatekeeping started. A lot of gates were closed. A lot of gates were closed, you know. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a whole bunch of that's a whole other ball of wax. But yeah. I've been offered many times last year and this year to do a Bronx Hero show. I just really haven't had the time to put together a team of people to help coordinate it with, because the last 4 shows were pretty much by myself, you know, and I was just like, you know, gallery shows, you know. I really want to do after this last suing, which I haven't really talked about much. San Diego Comic-Con blocked my renewal of Bronx Heroes Comic-Con. And they wanted to go to court over it. They made promises that they would integrate me into their comic convention family, so I could use the word Comic-Con, but that hasn't happened as of yet. I let go of that trademark, but I was going to rebrand as Bronx Heroes Comic Conference and focus on panels and gallery shows rather than just comic book shows, you know. Which I think
Comic convention. No.
Festival?
no. Even Comic Convention, they own that too.
Oh, really?
Festival?
Yeah, they own Comic Con, Comic Convention. They own 8 different variations. So
But you could have comic festival.
they could do Comic Festival, but I think there's a bunch of people that have Comic Fest. It's only a matter of time when some asshole says, "Hey, I own Comic Fest." So that kind of really put me off of doing shows. Just, you know, I don't even want to go to San Diego anymore because of that, you know.
But
And
San Diego's mostly like a movie con at this point, right?
Yeah, like New York Comic Con.
It pretty much is. It is, yeah. Yeah, the last time I went there, it's funny, during 2021, I made only 700 and change at San Diego, and that's when it was reopening from the pandemic. But then when they fully opened with all the movie shit, I think I made $300 or $400. Now, the hotels there are so expensive. I think the hotel was like
Yeah.
300 a night, and that was a cheap end. It's like, so if you want to be right outside the convention, it's 1,000 a night. The table is affordable if you're a local. It's only about 650 for small press, which is cheaper, half the price of New York City. But
That's not affordable for me. But
you know, but Artist Alley is
650.
no for a small press. A small press table in New York City is is about $2,000 now.
Oh man.
So
And let me guess, you don't get the table with it, do you? You got to bring your own table.
in New York, you have to bring your own table, but in San Diego, you're provided a table.
yeah, I always ask those questions when I do a show. There's a
Yeah.
table. You're providing a table and a chair, right?
You have to ask because sometimes they charge you
Yeah.
for chair. And then San Diego's Artist Alley, I believe, it has been for over a decade. I think it's like $350 for Artist Alley, and they have a price where New York Comic Con has raised their prices to like 700-800 or something like that for Artist Alley, which is ridiculous. So
Yeah, that's insane that they
you're not making that money back,
and most of the artists are not associated with anybody. They're just freelancers, and
Right.
you're not going to make that kind of money back.
Yeah, and those Artist Alley booths are hard to get in New York because the agents have purchased all of them.
Oh yeah, it's like you take my A-lister, you're going to take my B and C and D listers as well.
Yeah,
Wow.
so and that's happened also in San Diego too. Like, but I think that they do leave a gap open for local people. There is a preference if you live in San Diego or in California. But then you got to pay taxes. So you have to register a tax form, and they will not let you set up shop until you have that receipt. They're like, so you just show up, like, hey, I'm ready to go. They go, where's your tax form? And trust me, they'll chase you for it. I still owe the money from the last one.
Dad.
So California,
You know what? They'll spend more money chasing you
yeah,
for that tax form, the process doing that, than actually the amount of taxes you probably owe them, if you owe them.
yeah. They called me. I was like, hey, that show was a complete loss for me. How can you charge me taxes for sales when I didn't even? Your sales tax is more than what I actually made.
Wow.
I think a lot of it.
Again, like 9/11.
I think a lot of it is to help the big corporations.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they need to have another writer's strike because I heard they made a lot of money then too. The indies. So, I think a little piece of apple flew out of my mouth. But we'll wrap this up, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Always a good time, Ray.
Pleasure. Episode 36 is officially in the can, right?
No, it was great talking to you. I'm enjoying so much your Odyssey posts.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, those. Yeah. I've had it up to here with them. Actually, I just shared on my story. There's a lady who is a Black Greek woman, and she was talking about this. I think I said it to you on Instagram, Ray. And she's talking about, like my dad's from Guyana. My mom's Greek. I grew up in Greece, and when you hear her speak, she's got a full-on thick Greek accent in English.
Right.
It's like, yes, those people exist. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Stop listening to Nick Fuentes and those idiots.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so much hate in this country.
Oh yeah, unnecessary. You know what? If you want to hate someone, hate freaking Peter Thiel and those guys. Those are the guys who are literally crapping on all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I never understood not liking somebody because of the color of their skin. I never got it. I just didn't understand. And as a high schooler, I was like, wait, you guys hate these people who are black, but in the summer you go to the beach to get a tan.
Right.
Granted, or you get Botox.
Yeah.
Getting Botox, you're getting collagen, you're getting all this crap.
You're getting the Brazilian butt lifts.
Yeah.
Right? It's we live in a senseless world.
Okay. All right.
And with that, we have a new song to end this. So we're gonna
New song, Ray.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
I do that. New song, right?
Here we go.
It's more somber.
We broke the world. We broke the girl. My mind is not at ease. All in a haze, spinning crazily in a place that we'd often meet in an awful dream. I don't remember how many pills the doctor gave me. I woke up this morning to you in the bathroom, and all I did was bleed. Is this supposed to be the way I die? I don't really feel very satisfied. I wanna cry, but my eyes are dry, because I'm living a lie. We broke the world, and nothing makes sense to me. I can't turn on the TV without hearing the newscasters talk about